Hi, everybody. Welcome back. Nice to see you. Here we are. Here you are. Here some of us are. Not all of us. Because some of us don't have the internet today. And I don't mean like a couple of people. Like, it's not out on just like a city block. The internet in Canada is out countrywide for Rogers customers. This has been a day for all of us. So imagine my surprise when everybody that's on the panel today was like, yeah, I don't have any Rogers equipment, with the exception of Lynn's, who's here. But please welcome everybody that does have the internet to the show. Ryan Lindley from the Sheeple Shepherd podcast. Follow him at Ryan Lindley. And just a huge pleasure to have Sam G, influencer, podcaster, woodworking, bonanza, Rama woman. Please welcome Sam G. Sam G. I didn't even know she was a woodworker until today. I was like scooping your internet, and I'm like, oh my God, she would fucking absolutely adore Pierre Poilievre. This is what we interrupted you from doing today in the podcast, Sam.
Well, I mean, I think I wasn't a woodworker until Pierre inspired me. There was something about that video that just made me feel like I needed to get down to my roots. All puns intended.
That was it, eh?
So yeah, that was it. Thank you, Pierre, for showing me a new hobby and showing me the way.
Yeah,
could have done it without him.
Well, and I actually felt bad, like other than the great little Pierre Poilievre joke we do, I felt bad because I was on your Twitter feed today, and I'm like, oh my God, she's probably woodworking, and she's going to have to leave this woodworking, and she's going to have to shower because she's got dust all over herself. Was that today or was that yesterday? Were you doing that this afternoon?
No, that was like an hour ago.
Yeah. Was it really?
Oh, yeah.
Are you like a woodworking person?
I'm not at all. So I'm in the process of moving, and I was looking at furniture. I tweeted it earlier. Like, if you're lucky enough to be able to buy a house in this country, good luck being able to furnish it, because everything is so astronomically expensive, or you can't get it. They're not delivering it for like 6 months, whatever, right? So I'm trying to get kind of innovative. And I saw a table that looked somewhat like this. The damn thing's like $3,000 or whatever. And then I saw Pinterest, of course. Showing me how to do this myself. So I'm like, all right, we're going to grab the orbital sander and we're going to do it myself. I picked this thing up off of Facebook Marketplace for like $50 and off to the races.
And there you go. Jesus Christ. That is awesome. Yeah, and you know, the thing about like now is you can just kind of look up an internet video and you can go, I'm going to lay a tile floor, right? Or you know what I mean? Like, you can learn anything from YouTube at this point. It doesn't even really matter what it is. But if you're capable, or if you're interested in doing stuff, and if you have, like, you can put 2 and 2 together without heart surgery, appendectomies, you know, like human stuff. Don't be Googling that as DIY. Don't be doing like DIY dentistry. Bad idea. But I laid an entire vinyl basement floor once in the bathroom after watching a video for 5 minutes. Like, I was in the washroom and I'm like, I'm going to lay this floor myself. And as I was sitting there doing my business, I watched a 5-minute YouTube video on Nowhere to Lie on how I could lay an entire vinyl floor and how difficult it was and what I needed to do. Perfect. I didn't have to hire anybody. I didn't have to do anything. I became very capable just from the internet. I mean, we shit on the internet all the time. And for half of us in Canada, it's down. But for some people, it's pretty damn cool. You can learn all kinds of things. Like woodwork at this stage of the game, phenomenal thing for you to learn how to do.
Mm-hmm. Well, I remember seeing someone said that they learned CPR off of YouTube, like how to literally do chest compressions. And I'm imagining, imagine today's the day you need YouTube and you're like, God damn it, I'm a Rogers client. And you're going, I've got to do CPR, but I forgot what the steps are. And I wanted to go back to my YouTube video. And I'm a Rogers client.
Give me a minute.
Well, that's the thing, right? So I don't know if anybody's aware of this, but Rogers Cable, Rogers Internet, Rogers cell phones, like Rogers is one of Canada's biggest internet providers. And Sam G joins us today, influencer, podcaster, et cetera. We're going to get to a bunch of the stuff that Sam's all about. But this whole thing kind of got hijacked by the fact that no one has the fucking internet in this country right now. So when did this happen? 4:30 this morning? Is that about right, Ryan? Like, what do we know about the genesis of the internet not working for Rogers customers? And again, it's something in the neighborhood of 17 million Rogers customers, 2 million retail customers, gas stations, no point of sale stuff.
They're saying 13 million people are affected in the country right now because of this. 13 million in the country, like countrywide. And it was like you said, it was about 4:30 this morning. I was up at 5 for my grown up job, and I got up and I went to and I, like I always do, go outside, spark a dart, and open up Twitter. And I thought I was suspended again because it wouldn't open. Nothing would load on Twitter. I'm like, oh,
tough week.
Here we go. That's number 2. And then it's like, no, you know what? Nothing's working. My Facebook's not working. My browser's not working. I can't get Google. So I went on my other phone, my Bell phone, and and sure enough, the house internet's out because we're Rogers in the house. Went on the Bell phone and went to that, internet down webpage, and sure enough, like the spike happened right at about 4:20ish. You saw it was 0 reports, and then it like peaked through the roof. You couldn't even see the top of the graph, and it was like, oh wow, this is nationwide. Yeah. So yeah, it was a mess. It's been a mess all day. This has affected healthcare. I was just listening. They've called in all available on anybody that's on call for certain hospitals in the province right now have been called in regardless because they can't get a hold of them. They can't get a hold of, so just in case something happens, they can't get a hold of the people.
How are they calling these people back in to get their internet back up? Like, how are they calling tech? They're just putting
notices out on the media. Like on the radio, I heard it twice on 1010 on my way home. They were saying you've been requested by such and such hospital to come in because we can't get a hold of you if there's a disaster. So 911, if you call 911 right now, your calls are getting bounced into Buffalo, and then Buffalo reroutes them back into Ontario to the proper location that you need to get to. Not all of the calls, some of them.
Ottawa Police just put out, through CTV, I think it was, I saw the tweet, that they want you to stop calling 911 to ask them when Rogers is coming back up. Like, humanity's fucking doomed.
People are so fucking stupid.
Is that what's happening? People are calling 911 to find out when the internet will be back?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. They're pissed about it. Well, first, I think it started because reports went out that you couldn't call 911. So people were testing it from their phone because they were all panicked. They haven't called 911 a single day in their entire life, but today may be the day. And then I think people just started calling 911. I've heard some crazy 911 calls, like people will call for pretty much anything. But yeah, they're calling to see when their service is coming back up. I guess they have a Netflix show they want to watch, and they're pissed that they can't get the next episode going. I don't know what.
Isn't that indicative of the world we live in now? Isn't that just indicative of the privilege?
Well, keep in mind, that is the same city that after that massive storm blew through and no one had power, and they finally got power back. Just before they got power back, people were using generators, and they were calling 911 on neighbors whose generators were too loud.
In the middle of the winter.
Yeah, dude, that was it. Like, I mean, we're a nation of people who are very comfortable with our comforts, right? And to not have the internet, like, have we sat and thought about this yet today? For us, like, I haven't left my house other than to go for a walk. Sam, have we thought about what it would be like? Like, we're experiencing it. Some people, 13 million people, are experiencing zero connectivity today. Zero.
I don't know. I was out at the grocery store, and it doesn't even dawn on me because it's not affecting me personally. I've got the internet in my house. My phone's with Telus, so I'm good.
You got air conditioning in there too, don't you?
Yeah, I do. I'm just living. I'm God's chosen person. Like, look at me, just living the life of. But and then I get into the grocery store, and there's a sign on the door as you're coming in the sliding, and it's like, we may not be able to take certain cards. But I'm thinking, is that the difference between like TD Bank versus Royal Bank? Like, why are we differentiating? They finally do the announcement they can't take debit. So anyone who's trying, either you got to go track down a bank machine today, or you're going to have to use a credit card, but they can't take debit in any of the stores. And I know that's got to be a nightmare for anyone working in retail, trying to explain to these people why they can't use their debit card, but they can use their Visa, and having them just freak out on them. So that's got to be, in and of itself, just
first time in I swear to God 2 years that I've actually held physical cash. It's because of this shit today.
Oh, did you actually go out and get cash because Armageddon might be coming?
Well, no, I had to get cash because we needed stuff for dinner. For one, we had plans for dinner. Kaylee's here. We were making this big deal. And you can't use your you can't use e-transfer, so you can't e-transfer people right now either. If you want to send them money, it's a no-go.
Well, there's different banks, right? Like, my understanding is if the bank or the institution in question with the card that doesn't work is probably dealing with Rogers, right? As is Interac. I think Interac, because they put out a tweet today, they're like, there's a certain company that we use in Canada that we can't do any processing with today. And they wouldn't say who it was, and I tweeted, just say Rogers, you guys, for fuck's sakes. That's all you got. It's just Rogers. That's all you have to say. But that my understanding is like whatever banks are using Rogers infrastructure can't do any shit today. They can't do anything. Like nothing. ATMs are out. I was looking at pictures in Windsor. All the ATMs are out in Windsor. I have friends of mine that called me. A guy called me down the street, my buddy Wayne, and he's like, "Hey man, do you have any cash? Because I need to get gas." Because the gas stations all around me, none of them, they're just showing zeros, right? And if they can process payments, if they're not using somebody else's infrastructure and they can process payments, again, big signs on the windows says cash only, dude. All right.
Yeah. It was crazy when I was coming in this morning. Like normally Friday morning traffic when I'm going into the office is pretty grim. And it was smooth sailing, man. Everybody just kind of woke up, saw what was going on, called in, said, "Yeah, sorry, I can't." Like you said, how many people were stranded at a gas station that work in Toronto with a quarter tank of gas who couldn't get into the office? And then, or the ones that gambled it and drove to, commuted to Toronto from my neck of the woods and thought, by the time I'm done the day, it'll be back up. I'll just get gas on my way. Now they're stuck in Toronto. Like the roads are dead right now. It was great. So
the thing is, depending what you do for your day job, like you get to the office and you find out you can't do your day job because your office is on Rogers, right? So
yeah,
I haven't even thought of that either. Like I'm just thinking about the daily shit that everybody has to do that they can't do. I haven't thought about all the people that actually showed up to work, walked in, and they're like, "We don't have the internet."
Think of big business right now. Yeah. Think of the businesses, like the amount of the economy is taking a hit from people that were not able to transact today, in any which way. Any sort of dealing or be it retail, be it commercial. The business that I'm in is we're a Fortune 500 company, and we were literally running around trying to find cell phone signal to make sure that we can get our laptops to work. And people were like propped up against windows. Like this is where we are. Like we've put so much trust and so much faith in two companies.
Huge.
And what happened? The world stopped when one of them went down. This world stopped. Yeah. Or at least got very, very inconvenient.
It's a great point. And to that fact, and I want to get to it in just a second. When I talked to this dude at Rogers today, I'm like, "Hey, what's going on?" And he's like, "Nothing." I'm like, "No shit." Like an executive. I talked to him today. I said, "What's going on?" He's like, "Nothing." I'm like, "Yeah, I know." And I'm like, "When's he going to be back?" He's like, "We have no idea why this happened or when service will be back." I'm reading this to you right now. We have no idea why this happened or when service will be back. I said, "When's it going to be back? How long is it going to be down?" He says, "For a while." Then I said, "Was this a cyber attack?" Nothing. Haven't heard a thing from him. And everybody's like obsessed with the fact that this is a cyber attack. But I said today, it doesn't even really fucking matter what the reasoning of it is, right? The fact of the matter is we've got really two bona fide companies that basically are gatekeepers to the internet and wireless across this country. So if one of them goes down, this is what happens. Like, we talk about competition and oligopolies and competitive bureaus, and we talk about how one or two companies shouldn't be standing in the way of communication across this country, right? They just shouldn't. You shouldn't be like this. In the United States, there's all kinds of competition. I know there's different ways around it, but it's like racketeering in this country, the way that they treat the internet and the way they treat wireless, right? And today, we are seeing the result of that racketeering. And Canada doesn't have any laws against it. In fact, there are over 7,800 different criminal enterprises that operate exclusively in Canada, like these two telcos operate, because we don't have racketeering or RICO charges in this country. That's just a quick little legal aside. But to your point, this is what we've been screaming about. This is what Canadians have been screaming about. This is what everybody's been talking about is, hey, listen, why don't you allow the tech savvies and the other companies to come in and offer these solutions to people? And instead, the CRTC and the government in their infinite wisdom is like, no, let's just keep the big cats happy. Let's keep them on side. Let's keep them in our political corner. And let's keep screwing the people of Canada. Well, I'll tell you something. Today, 13 million people in Canada cannot effectively call 911. Like if someone has a heart attack in my complex, they're going to have to go and look for somebody with a Bell cell phone, and it won't be me because I don't have a Bell phone, to call 911, and that's not an emergency service. Like, I mean, it's not just that and the business lost. It's the fact that billions and billions and billions of dollars that are poured into infrastructure over the year have been poured in and granted by this country and this government to allow these people to do what they're doing today. And this is legitimately the end result of a monopoly that's been allowed to flourish over the past 15 to 20 years for two companies, Sam. Like, two companies basically own the rights and the gateway and the keys to the gate to allow people on the internet or use cell phone service. And none of those, like who's got a Rogers bundle? What a fucking terrible day for someone who's like, last month I bundled my Rogers products. You do? You got the old Rogers bundle?
2 cell phones, internet, television, home security. Oh yeah, today's the day. You want to take me out? Come on, boys. Today's the day because there's no the cameras aren't working. Nothing's working. Nothing's working. So
that's unreal. I mean,
if you've ever talked to an American about what we pay for cell phone, like your cell phone bill, just your cell phone, don't forget the bundle, right? Like, tell an American you're spending over $150 a month because you want unlimited data or whatever it is. They're flabbergasted. Like, the jaw hits the floor. They cannot believe that we're anywhere close to that. And that's because we can't drive the price back down, because these two just kind of go, okay, we'll give you a $10 discount for 3 months. And then we're back up to $150, $180 a month. It's nuts.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is. But I mean, this is the end result. And again, if you're asking, and if you're in the comments section, and there's a bunch of people in the comment section, and you're asking us, when it's going to be back, Rogers doesn't know, so we for sure don't know. And they don't know what happened. Like, you would think they would have an idea, but apparently the core infrastructure of the entire system that they use is down. And here's the news. Sam G, that didn't stop her from trolling people about this today. No. So many people. If you follow
live Sam, for this.
Oh, wrong one. That's also the wrong one. Let's go up here. This is a good one. This is shortly after it went out. As a rite of passage, I think today's generation of teenagers should at least once be forced to have to talk to dad before they can talk to their crush on the phone. That was only 16 hours ago, and it led into, I don't know if you knew that this was going to happen. It kind of seems like you did, because after the outage started, you say, quote, might fuck around and reply, is this available to a few hundred listings on Facebook Marketplace? And then you trolled and said Rogers Internet is about as available as the majority of guys on Tinder.
I was going to say, the number of people feeling ghosted on a dating app today, forget 911 calls. Let's talk about priorities. All these people are sitting there going, this guy, I've been chatting with him for days, and now he's not getting back to me. Meanwhile, he's a Rogers customer. Guy wants to reply. He wants to set up that date, but he just can't get on the internet. Modern dating.
I didn't even think of that. I didn't think about the personal anxiety people on dating apps are going through, being left fucking unread the whole time, like over the next couple of days, right? Like, I didn't think about it at all. That's a great point. It would crush some people. Especially if you're like 3 or 4 conversations in with somebody and you're like, hey, you want to get together? You want to go for coffee? You want to go have
You got an anxious attachment style. You're going to need Ativan and a bottle of whiskey to get through this weekend.
Yeah, I hadn't even thought about that. There's this whole dating culture. I'm not in it, but there's this whole dating culture of people on these dating apps who are going to be left unread all weekend long and think it's all them, right?
Yep.
But on the flip side, if there's some dude you're not really sure about and you don't get back to him for a couple of days, blame it on Rogers so it can work in your favor too. I'm a TELUS customer. It doesn't matter. When it comes to whether or not I want to talk to somebody for the next 48 hours, I'm a Rogers customer.
Yeah. There you go.
Yeah, that's a good one. I was going to use that today because a friend of mine's like, hey, do you want to get together for coffee later, or you want to go for dinner? And I'm like, I was going to not respond to it. Like, I thought about it today. I was like, fuck, should I respond or not? And I noticed that they had tried to text me earlier as well, because they sent me an email. Hey, are you a Rogers customer? Your texts aren't working. And I am a Rogers customer. My cell phone is a Rogers customer. But part of that, too, is like, I haven't had one call from anybody today. And I fucking dig that. Like, my phone hasn't been dinging. I've turned my notifications off generally. But that's another part of this outage. Like, if you're going to look for silver linings, Sam, and I'll look for silver linings with you any day of the week, is that you can leave people unread, you can lie to people, and you can blame it on something else. You don't have to get together with anybody. You can cancel all your plans. You can go pure pandemic right now for the weekend and just blame Rogers for everything.
Exactly. We're living the olden times. We're back in like the days of yore. I don't know what this is, but we got to go outside. We got to read a book. We're like,
would you be able to not have the internet though for like let's say it was us? Would you be able to operate?
So I see that shit come up on Twitter all the time. It's like, for $10 million, would you spend a day without the internet? And I'm going, who's saying no to this? I feel like I would be what's a good word for it? Discombobulated for sure, to not have the internet for like, let's call it 48 hours. But yeah, I'd figure it out. I mean, if it's the weekend, I don't got to worry about my day job. I'm just going to have to figure it out and just go quiet and, I don't know, pick up a book.
Yeah. I'd be all uncomfortable. I would. I like readily admit it. If I didn't have access to the internet, I would be so uncomfortable all weekend long. If this is me all weekend, like if I'm a Rogers customer, I would be fucking beklempt right now. I really would.
But like, maybe you find yourself doing all the stuff you haven't been doing because it's easier to get caught up, like diving into the rabbit hole of crap on social media and all the people fighting about whatever thing they're fighting about at any given time, right? Like you can't do it. So suddenly you go, hey, there's this hobby. Hey, there's this thing I've been procrastinating. I don't got anything better to do. And suddenly you become like a productive member of your household again. Like maybe that's the upside of losing it. Maybe we should crash all of them and see what happens. See what the world accomplishes in 48 hours with no internet.
You go ahead.
I was talking with Sean O'Shea this morning, and he was saying, he was at his favorite coffee shop, and they had a sign up, only cash only. And I said, it's funny. A lot of people woke up this morning and realized that they have family members that they haven't seen in years that live in the same house. Like, when the fuck did we get this dog? Like everybody just kind of like looked up from their phone and realized that there was other people that were in their midst. And it's a nice time to like try and reconnect, I guess. I know the meme you're talking about, Sam. Like, would you live in this cottage for $10 million for? It's like, I don't have $10 million to give you. I'm sorry. If I could afford it, I would do that. Even though they're implying that they're going to give me the money, no problem. Not a problem at all. See you later. I don't own my own business. I don't rely on that communication. So if I don't have the internet because of forces other than myself, your boss can't expect you to do anything about it. And if you're the one that put me in that position to rely on it, and now we don't have it, guess what? Sayonara. I'm out. See you Monday.
Yeah, suck it. Long weekend for me. Right?
Pretty much.
As you should. Did you take a long weekend today? Did you blame the...
No, I worked.
Did you work?
I'm still working right now, actually. I am watching some things in the background that got pushed off because of the day that we had. But I'm not changing my plans, and I'm not changing my schedule because the internet is...
You know what sucks ass? My day was terrible kind of too, because I'm expecting a box of meat delivered to my front door today. No box of meat. Usually get a text. It's like, hey, bud, yeah, by the way, the box of meat is there. So I don't think my true local box of meat is coming. That's my thing. And I was really excited for it today because I was going to make chicken wings with that box of meat. I'm going to miss my meat box today. It's a first world problem. You can't call 911 if your neighbor breaks his leg. But where's my chicken wings? Where's my meat box? Yeah.
Maybe you should call 911 and ask them about the meat box. I feel like that's a...
Can we do that on the air, actually? You want to grab your phone? Oh, wait, you can't grab your phone. Never mind.
Let's do that.
Sam, call 911 for Dean, would you?
Send out a smoke signal as an emergency. You don't get your 911. Box of meat.
Yeah, hi, I'm missing my meat box. Can you do something about the internet so my meat box can show up? Yeah, that's the danger of being an influencer. Sam knows all about it. Sam, you've been an influencer for a while. If you haven't followed Sam, you should follow her on Twitter, Sam G. It's Sam G on Twitter. She's also on TikTok. She's on Instagram. What would you say you're more proficient in, by the way, if the internet's working?
Twitter.
Twitter's your thing?
Twitter, I mean, I can be walking down the street, just think of something, put out a tweet in 30 seconds, whatever it takes, and just, go on with my day. TikTok, it requires a whole production. There's a lot more that goes into that one. So it's definitely like if I have time or if I'm in the mood for it. But I've been doing that one pretty consistently, probably since 2018 or so. So yeah, that's the one.
That's when you joined. How many followers? You like 83,000 followers, 84,000 followers?
Yeah, it's at about 80. Almost 83.
80,000 followers?
The account started in 2010. I was using it for a completely different purpose. And then I picked it up because I'd had these little thoughts that popped in my head that was like, hey, that feels like a tweet. And I started using it. It grew pretty quickly. Like it went from in the hundreds to 10,000, I think in 6 weeks or something. It was wild. And then it doubled again. And then it just started getting, a little out of control. And there's days that I miss being just having a few people that engaged, and that was it. But yeah, it was 2010, and then there was a whole lull. So I would call it 2018 from the point that I would really consider when I was using it.
Yeah, you get huge engagement, and you're really fucking funny. I mean, we put up a couple of clips and tweets from you before in terms of you trolling people on the worst day in telecommunications history. You got to have some scrote to do that, by the way. So it's one of the things I appreciate you. But look at how many how many likes this tweet got. And this is what blows my mind about some people. Like,
spaniel.
Yeah, she's got a dog. What's your dog's name, by the way, Sam?
That's Milo.
Milo, you'd always take your dog for a walk. You always take nice pictures with your dog. But this is someone who knows how to game the whole game, right? Yeah. Sam has a dog in the background. She is an attractive woman, so she puts her face in the front, and she's like, this is the whole tweet. Next stop, Tim Hortons. Next stop after that, the beach. 3,400 people liked it.
Guys, Tim Hortons replied to that tweet. I just want to put that out there. If we're talking about who's famous and not famous, I got replied to by Tim Hortons himself.
Yeah. Did you ever? But like, dude, that is huge. That kind of engagement is massive. Like when you decided, was this like a decision that you made because you're legitimately an influencer? You're a social media influencer. You're very bright. You're very comedic. You've got a podcast with your friend Dana, which is tremendous, by the way. If you haven't seen their podcast, it's outstanding. It's called Where's Our Participation Trophy. Follow them at Where's Our Trophy. This is from the lady who used to do the Trophy Wife podcast. Her name's Dana Pereira. Am I saying her name right? Dana Pereira?
Yeah, that's it.
And yourself, and you can get it on YouTube. Subscribe to this on YouTube. But like, was this a decision that you made to like turn into an influencer, or have you always been a content provider? And is this just kind of a natural progression of the things that you enjoy talking about, and kind of your comedic sense of humor, being able to amplify some of the stuff that you would do maybe on the phone or with friends on the weekend? Like, how did you curate this kind of little career for yourself?
So I think if we went back as far as even a few years ago, influencer wasn't really a thing. Like, I think that started maybe a couple years ago, right? Where people started to be, known for having a social media presence and exclusively doing that. They weren't sort of known or famous or whatever associated with a brand or some kind of celebrity. So I wouldn't say that I could have planned it because I didn't even really understand it as a thing. I don't really consider myself, most days I'm never going to tell somebody I'm an influencer.
You're not going to introduce yourself as an influencer at a dinner party where they're like, what do you do for a living? And say, I'm an influencer.
I mean, I do throw out the occasional, don't you know who I am? No.
You haven't seen me on Twitter? Haven't you seen
How do you not know who Sam G is? I said the other day on Twitter that I want to become so famous that I don't have to pay for plastic bags at the grocery store. Like, I've got big dreams, guys. So we're working on it. We're working on it. So yeah, I think it was really just a forum. I thought it was cool. I remember the first time a tweet got 100 likes and I was like over the moon thinking this is a really big deal. And I've never actually gone super viral, which is fine because it's just, that's a madhouse in your notifications. But it's funny the stuff that does, like you said, the selfies and things like that, because you do know that you get a lot of engagement on that sort of thing. I had a selfie once. All I asked was, should I get a nose ring? And it was a picture of my face being like, am I too old for a nose ring or something? And I think it got to like 19 or 20,000 likes or something wild, and you're just like, what is going on here? But that's the social media world, right? It's not always the funniest or the most creative. It's just whatever picks up and takes off, it picks up and takes off.
Do you know that, like, is there a formula for you where you're like, okay, if I do these 3 things in a tweet, it's going to go viral? Or like, I got to put my dog in here, I need to do my hair nice, I got to look good, and which is, you're again an attractive woman, and attractive people do really well on social media. It's just a matter of fact, like you just do. Do you play that up a little bit? I don't see you playing it up unless it's for comedic purposes, though. That's the thing.
Yeah, no, there are definitely ways that you can get more engagement. I mean, anytime you're going to mention as a woman, if you're going to mention sex.
Yep.
Sex, if you're going to talk about sex, and for the most part, I mean, I'll have the occasional joke, but I stay away from it. It's nothing against people who do it. I don't like the replies, and I don't like having to, and I'm not good about it. Like, some people are really good. They see a bunch of nonsense in their replies and they're really good at ignoring it. I can't. I see it and I'm just like, oh,
you get triggered.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm triggered. It's just, I don't know how to not be snarky back to this person. Like I want to be that clap back person, but it takes up your whole day, and now you're getting irritated and your whole mood is shifted. So for the most part, I'll do the occasional thing that involves sex or whatever, but you do get a lot of engagement. Selfies definitely do. I think if it's funny because I've got a mixed audience. I'm more male in terms of my followers, and then a lot of Americans as well as Canadians, and then sort of internationally. But Americans love Canadian content. They love the stuff that's super stereotypically Canadian too. So they gravitate towards that. So that's worked really well for me. So that became a bit of part of the shtick, I guess, for a long time, was doing that. The whole emotional support Canadian thing. I can't say with certainty that started with me. I didn't go viral for it. Someone else did. But I was if I wasn't the first, I was absolutely one of the first tweets to go out around the election with that. I was the first.
Just own that.
Why not?
Yeah, just stamp it with your stuff. Yeah.
We got it.
I didn't do my research, but then again, it's 2022. After the convoy, we don't really have to do research. We just pretend we did it. So I was the first. Based on the research of the three of us that we didn't do.
Yeah. See, and that's why it's just an unfair, cruel world. Like I'll talk about sex and put selfies up, I get reported, blocked, and police called.
Yeah.
Like what the hell?
Yeah, you it's a hate crime when you talk about sex and you put selfies up. It's basically that's the when I report you for the things that I report you for on Twitter. Like when I report,
I'm the only person he reports, by the way.
He got suspended. I know you do. He got suspended last week. He was off Twitter, Sam. He wasn't allowed.
I saw it. I saw when he came back. It was a big moment. What did you get suspended for, though?
Porn, his own. Put it out.
Picture of his topless shirt. I was topless without a shirt on, and that was it. And I didn't even take the photo. It was just like in the background of somebody else's photo, and they found me and they said, "Get rid of him."
Well, this is the thing. Like I cannot believe.
No, it's not.
I cannot believe the amount of porn that literally lives on Twitter every day. Like
every single day.
Isn't it unbelievable? Dude, this was one time. It was a couple weeks ago, and it was just for I'm embarrassed.
This is so bad.
But I was just doing research, right? Like I was doing research and trying to get clips because we were talking about jizz in the podcast. So
for the articles, right? You're reading it for the articles?
Yeah. Right, Dean.
No, but I can't remember what I was doing. It was either sperm or jizz or something that I put in.
Don't bother me when I'm doing research.
But it was sperm or jizz that I put in like the search bar for Twitter, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna get like what I'm looking for, and I can't remember what it was. I wasn't looking for sperm or jizz pictures, but the hardcore pornography that came back, like it is, and I'm like, that was posted a year ago, and this is still up. Yet Lynn's got suspended the other day for telling some guy to fuck off. But like, you can see full on pornography, like hardcore pornography. Some of the stuff that you're like, oh my God, someone get that person a sponge or a few towels. Like that's literally
phone the police on their behalf.
Yes. Yeah. Like that. I'm amazed at that. I'm always shocked at that.
Because a lot of it's like it's bot accounts or whatever it is, and the algorithm and whatever the programming that Twitter has behind the scenes for kind of auto scanning for things that are supposed to be kind of against the terms of service, so they're supposed to be monitoring that. Like they can't tell what's in a video, right? So a video is only going to get pulled down if someone reports it. And so a lot of these accounts, they're small enough that they don't get noticed or they don't get picked up, they don't get mass reported, and there they go. So Ryan, in your case, if you're using text, if you're sometimes swearing, it depends on what context you use the word fuck in, if that'll get you automatically suspended or put on timeout. But it can pick that up on its own, or you've got people who are looking at this going, Ryan screwed up, I'm gonna report him because I'm gonna get him back for some shit he said 2 weeks ago.
What do you mean there's different fucks that you can and can't say on Twitter?
Yeah, like if it depends on the context. So if you say fuck off, fuck you back as a reply to someone, then that's seen differently than if you just use fuck as a sort of a term. I don't know if it's what it would be.
This is fucking amazing, or
yeah.
So I told Jamie Salé to shut the fuck up yesterday. Why do I still have an account?
So no one reported you?
Yeah. Is that why? Like, can I get?
I tried.
You can. There's no way you reported me. So you can report somebody for using a swear. So you can't swear on social media, but you can put a picture of or a video of your homemade pornography on Twitter. Is that what I'm to understand now? Like, what happened? When did that change?
I don't think you can. Those are reportable too. It's just nobody's seeing them and reporting them. So people will get reported for stupid shit like that. Like,
yeah.
Or there's GIFs that Twitter has, obviously it's available in their database, and it says shit like "I will kill you," but it's in the GIF. It's like somebody doing like, crossing out
or
with a
kill
neck
yourself.
or a knife.
I've seen kill yourself. Like that's another one that is a big no everywhere.
Yeah, I thought self-harm and promoting violence was no.
But their GIFs have gotten people suspended. It's like you supply this to people and then they use it. Someone reports it, goes, they told me that they're going to kill me, and they report for threats of violence, and out they go.
Yeah,
seriously.
Just to give you enough rope to hang yourself with.
From a GIF, this is the great. So I'm going to understand this, because if you're on Twitter, and no one's on Twitter, if you're not on Twitter, let me explain how this works. If you're going to put up a GIF, what you do is there's a little thing at the bottom. It's like, hey, let's choose from any one of these services of GIFs that we do business with, and you can pick a GIF. So you can pick someone that they do business with in one of those GIFs or GIFs, depending on where you're from. I don't condemn GIF or GIF. You use whatever you want. We're an equal opportunity GIFers. But if you take this GIF or GIF, they're giving it to you. You put it up, and then they suspend you for it if they don't like.
You're a GIF Jiffer.
Yes.
Wow.
How fucking what? Okay, so what do you? Because you're on TikTok too, and I've got a couple of videos that I want to play for you. And you're fucking no. This is good. Are you? It's Sam G on TikTok as well? Is that what I understand?
No, it's Samantha Graham. With the underscores at the start and the finish. All that stuff's in my bio, so I had to put up a link tree because there's just too many things going on. So Linktree lets you kind of collect everything together. I'm just trying to pull it and see. Yeah, it's underscore Samantha Graham underscore. That was the only one that was left.
Okay,
I got there late to the game. I was late to the game.
You got it. But just so everybody knows, if you're listening to this podcast, you're watching on YouTube, or you're listening on Spotify, Apple, iTunes, wherever you get your podcast, in the description, I've put Sam G's link tree. So you can actually go and link to pretty much anything that Sam does, including her Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, both of her podcasts. Where's my part? Where's our participation trophy? And again, the Where's Our Participation Trophy Twitter account. So you can follow her and Dana. It's a tremendous podcast. We'll get to that in just a second. But some of the content you do, you're not just a comedian. You were huge on the Roe v. Wade stuff. And obviously we are a group of dudes that do a podcast every day. We can be allies, but I'm glad you're here because I want to talk to you about it. Because a couple of the videos that you put up were really, really well done, right? Like super, super well done. And I want to play this one for you because it is, you have such an incredible way with words. You're very bright on top of actually being smart. And I don't mean actually like, I can't believe you're smart. You're just a very well-spoken person, and you advocate for the right things, but you do it with an edge. And I want people to watch this. This is Sam G from your TikTok, underscore Samantha Graham underscore on TikTok. If you'd like to follow her, watch this.
And there you have it, folks, because this is exactly what women are up against. A bunch of old white men who think they get to make decisions for women because they pay taxes. They think they get to make decisions about women's bodies, about women's futures, about whether women live or die because they pay taxes. And I'm not surprised, but my God, I'm fucking so sickened.
That was heavy. Like, I mean, you're funny, but you're also super convicted about the things that I think people should be super convicted about. But what is you put your heart on your sleeve, but you get it back. You got it back from a lot of people, which is what that was all about. Take me through that. Take me through that experience of being an outspoken advocate for choice, being an influencer, and what that experience was like. And who was that fuck, by the way?
So I had originally I put out a video. It was I'd seen these before where it was just sort of saying if any of my American friends suddenly needed to take an emergency trip to Canada, I'm a really good tour guide or a really good tour coordinator. Not being open about what I was really, meaning, but the implication is there. And then, of course, as soon as people realize what I'm talking about, then it's just, the incel army just takes upon my reply section, which I knew was going to happen. For the purposes of TikTok, I've been a little less political just because TikTok's algorithm, you can get pushed to absolutely, the world because it's just a very different beast on the For You page. So and it's not that I don't want the backlash. It's really hard to manage it through the way that TikTok has their videos set up, and it's hard to mute things, and it's it can take over and kind of consume the app for you for a bit. So I've stayed away from it there, but for this one it was it was a big deal hearing this news, even just sort of being discussed when the leak happened. And I knew that there's no way I can in good conscience have any form of platform, any form of voice and not speak out on it. It feels disingenuous to me to say I've got an audience, however big that might be, however many people are paying attention to these types of conversations when I have them, and I'm just going to stay silent. It just wasn't the way that I wanted to go with it. So I sort of stuck my toe in the water with that initial video, just kind of making it clear where I stood, which is I support people who need to make difficult choices, and I'm here for you. And then this individual is just a random who found the video. And of course, his comments, which was what I was replying to with respect to the taxes, is really from his perspective, he gets a say because he has to pay taxes. What he's referring to is the funding for Planned Parenthood in the US and feeling like he's funding all of these abortions. It's beyond me how people don't realize that, if you don't sort of help fund the reproductive care on that end, you're going to be funding a hell of a lot more on the other end, because if someone can't afford to pay for a fucking abortion, how are they raising a baby if you're forcing them to have it? Like, give your head a shake, right? So, but that was tame compared to what came next, because some dude that does this, I think this is his sort of brand or shtick or whatever it is, he found the video and decided to just he does what's called a stitch. So he plays a portion of that video and then he jumps in, and I don't know what his audience is like, but he's got a pretty decent size account, and it was nonstop for days. People telling me that I'm a murderer, telling me to shut the fuck up. Just some of the psychotic stuff that I saw in my mentions was it was wild. It was crazy.
Yeah, it's nuts. I actually put a very innocuous meme out on Twitter, and she doesn't have a big Twitter following. She's got like 600 people on there, but it was a pro-choice meme, and literally the biggest tweet she's ever put out, and it had not to do with the support. It was the hate that came back at her, and it turned her right off of Twitter. She's
well, like, and they never say, oh, yeah, Ash has been off Twitter. Actually, she tweeted me today because I tweeted you. I'm like, are you going to be on the show? I got a Rogers phone, so I can't call you, and you have a Chinese spy phone. And she's like, he'll be there.
Yeah.
But let me play this. This is another TikTok video that you put out in response to that. It kind of touches on what Ashley went through and what you're talking about, Sam. And this is your TikTok video of what you were talking about the incel army and the notifications and the bing, 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 bing. Watch this. I thought it was great.
That poor Samsung phone, it takes a beating. It's a prop, it gets thrown, it gets dunked in water.
What's that like? Listen, I know what it's like, but I am emotionally impervious to assholery, so it doesn't bother me, right? Like, with the Pierre Poilievre stuff this last week in the convoy, we got crushed, but we also did 30, 40 million impressions, and I understand how metrics work, but this is a very personal thing, right? We're talking about reproductive rights. We're talking about your rights as a woman, and you're seeing this kind of take shape here in Canada, and you do speak about it, how this kind of culture, this dark energy, which is my impression, this dark energy is making its way up here. And so this isn't like a geographical thing. This is a gender thing. This is a woman thing. This is a reproductive rights thing. But how when you put something out that's supportive and kind, and you get like thousands and thousands of hate messages and hate tweets back, how do you react to that? Like, does that take the breath out of you sometimes? I know for me, when it first started with the convoy a few months ago, I was like, whoa, 1,300 death threats? That's a lot. So it kind of gave me pause for thought. Like, is this where I want to be? And then I realized, what, I'm going to fuck all of them, and I'm going to keep doing it, and I'm going to double down, and I'm going to do it every time. And I'm going to go through the legal system, take care of this stuff. But it's different. And I don't want to say this as like an engenderification thing, but it's different for women, right? I mean, like, it's, you're putting yourself out there over an issue that's like super, super, super sensitive and super important. But what was that like for you? Like, how does it make you feel after you kind of put your phone down for the night?
Yeah, so that video, the one that you just showed with me dunking, that was the double down, right? So I'll respond seriously to a few, and I'll have, you can kind of throw the comment up in the top and then you respond to it. And so there was a couple that I did where there's another one where I'm sitting in my car and I'm going like, guys, I don't need you to to protect me or whatever, because people had accused me of thinking this guy was supposed to protect me from the comments. And I had mentioned that these guys were being misogynistic. He doesn't call out the misogyny, he calls out me for having an opinion about rights that pertain to people with a uterus, right? So, you know, I'll go at it seriously, but I'll also then sort of do that as my way of just kind of fuck you. You're not getting to me. And I think to some extent it bothers you initially. And that's because, like I said before, I have a hard time not wanting to argue back. And then it's time consuming. It's emotionally consuming because you're in this space of being argumentative. Mm-hmm. I think for this one, it was a little alarming to realize how many people, knowing that this is just scratching the surface in this engagement, how many men or whoever, even there's women coming at me too, that they think like this, right? And it's fine. I know there's pro-life people out there. I understand what their mentality is. I've heard the song and dance. I went to a Catholic school. Like, I get it. Mm. But how vitriolic and angry and where they come from, like deep from inside, the stuff that they're willing to say to someone by calling them a murderer, by telling them that they deserve to die rather than the baby, and all this kind of crazy shit. Like, that was hard for a bit, you know, and I'd have to put the phone down after too much of that, because you're going, these people are out there. Like they really, like, it truly came down to me feeling like they hate women. This is more than just abortion. Like, these people, they've got a problem with women. I'm not saying everyone who's pro-life is anti-woman in that sense, in that really sort of scary sense. But these people, the vitriol, the just pure unbridled kind of disdain, that was a little alarming and a little unnerving for sure.
Where do you think that comes from?
I think it's a lot of shit. I think people are really good at projecting a lot of their own crap out onto other issues, right? So they might have a problem with a specific woman in their life. I mean, you know, there's so much that goes back to childhood when it comes to human psychology and why people might have difficult relationships with women later on in life, as if they had a absent caregiver that happened to be their mother or whatever that may be. I think, you know, when we're dealing with rejection sensitivity and people who've had a hard time dating women, if assuming they're straight, you know, they've got it sort of, then they've expanded.
Oh, you mean incels? You're talking exclusively about
basically
the incels
that is
now.
it. Yeah. But I think that's what it is. The incel thing is essentially where a lot of this comes from.
Huge.
We live in a world where, you know,
are you afraid to say it? Are you afraid to call these guys, these pukes, incels? Are you afraid to call?
No, not at all.
Oh, okay, good. I hope you're not.
No, not at all.
Because I call them out all the time, and I love it.
Not at all. Like, I think incel is a category in and of itself in terms of just the degree of kind of really deep-seated issues that are happening there. But I think there's that misogyny, right? Like this idea that, you know, men are superior to women in some way, or that we're subordinate to men. And I think where that comes from, to go back to that, is it comes from fear, right? You're only gonna hate other people if you're fucking terrified of it, right? What is the threat? What is the threat? And I think there are some people, I said this on a Twitter Spaces recently, I think there are some people who definitely believe that abortion is killing a baby. I really believe that deep down inside, they think that this tiny little precious baby is being viciously murdered by a horrible killer type person.
Set of forceps.
Yeah. But it's like, we don't live, and this is where I heard it, and then it clicked for me. The people who go, listen, we can agree to disagree on the matter. First of all, if you believe that this is the murder of the most fragile of all human species, a baby, there's no agreeing to disagree, because I'm not going to agree to disagree about a pedophile. I'm not going to agree to disagree about a rapist. Like, we are absolutely 100% on different teams if you have a differing opinion in those categories. So if you believe that abortion is murder and you're telling me that you're going to agree to disagree with me so that we can still be friends, I don't really believe that you are as solid in your convictions as you say you are. The other one is people who draw a line and they say, well, abortion is only okay under these circumstances. And it's like, if it's within the first so many weeks, if it happened under these circumstances. And I'm like, I don't know. I still feel like it's really hard to draw a line in the sand when it comes to murdering babies, where you can qualify when it is and isn't okay. But what I can see is that you're trying to determine when it's okay to control women, because what you don't like is when you feel like a woman has been irresponsible with her sexuality, because sexuality gets demonized as a way to control women.
Well said. Well said.
This is why I wanted you on the show today. This and the laughs. We're going to talk about meat seltzers in a minute. But no, you're right. You're absolutely right. Sorry, John. Go ahead. Ryan?
No, it's clear. I was just it's clear as a bell. The way you lay it out there, and my theory is it's a matter of like the colonialism, the Christianity, like the Western religious hierarchy, we'll call it, is threatened, and anybody in a threat, some people don't even realize that they're reacting to a threat. To change and to evolution. And we've realized over the last few years, especially, it's been under a microscope to watch people not deal well with change, not deal well with evolution, not deal well with the way society is supposed to actually operate with each other. And it's fear. You're absolutely right, Sam. It's fear. It comes down to scared little men that are afraid of losing that that don't open the curtain to see that I'm just a fragile little boy that should have control over women. And I don't know. I think it's a lot of mom issues. It's like you said, it's a lot of the caregiver issues. It's a lot of You're right. The rejection, reaction to rejection is huge. Like somebody might have just had a bad experience in high school once, got humiliated by somebody turning him down, and that guy's a fucking piece of shit now for the rest of his life. And we're all just supposed to, well, it's just a man. That's a man being a man. It's just a guy. It's bullshit. So very well said. That's as clear as it gets. And I hope more men actually listen to people like you. I hope they take what you say with some regard to this is just somebody just trying to tell you how it is. This is just somebody that's being real with you and trying to be honest and in a funny way sometimes. And,
it feels so threatened, though. And someone's like, hey, listen, this is how I feel. And I'm allowed to feel this way. And I'm allowed to talk about these things. I think that it's important for women to have control of the reproductive rights. Yeah. And that's all you were saying. And you got fucking inundated with thousands of pieces of hate mail. Like, I mean, it's not normal. And you can draw a straight line from you trying to advocate for women. And I thought it was pretty vague. I thought your advocacy was like vague enough where like, no one's going to get mad at her about that. Like, and then I'm watching you on TikTok and you're like, oh my God, my mentions are filling up with crazy psycho incels and you're dropping your phone in a fucking glass of water. But like, that is not normal behavior. And so I kind of I take that and I do the math and I consider the source and I'm like, this says everything about them and nothing about you, right? That's how I feel.
And that's what it comes down to. And I think I had to get to that place as my social media presence increased, was that everyone's going to have their own reasons for feeling whichever way. And I really like the idea that what other people think of you is none of your business, because most often, and it's a hard thing to wrap our heads around because our ego is really sort of wanting to believe that every thought about us might have something to do with us because it's always kind of on guard. But it's so little. People are projecting their own shit. People will hate stuff about you because it reminds them of something they hate about themselves. They're just like, I don't like that you're this because that brings up some stuff inside of me. Like, so much of the way people interact, react, and speak to you is their inner stuff that they haven't resolved yet. And you've got to take it with a grain of salt. There's also just the idea that being triggered, that's a moment where you can say, okay, why does this bother me? Do I value this person's opinion? Do I believe that it's true? Does it matter if it's true? And if you can't answer those questions, and if you answer those questions, no, it's not true, or no, that it doesn't matter, you got to let it go, right? And if it's still bothering you, then use that as a healing opportunity. Use that as a moment to go, I got to fix this shit. I got to work on this. I got to do some self-help. I got to see a therapist. I got to do whatever, because this is waking up a part of me I didn't know was there that needs some attention and needs some love.
Yeah, fascinating. It's great advice for everybody. It doesn't even matter if it's about the abortion issue. It doesn't matter if it's about anything else. You have to listen. If you are not right, if you are not normal, if you're angry about the dumbest shit, if you lash out at people who have a different opinion than you, Sam's 100% right. There is something deep within the nexus of your ridiculous brain that is so off because your perception is so shit about the way the world works. And that's what I find the commonality between these incels that are filling up your DMs and the people that hit us up and the guys that are telling us that, Jesus Christ is the reason for the season and women, according to the Bible. Like, I got this tweet the other day. This dude's like, By the way, just so you know, the Bible's very clear on pro-life, and I'm like, and I'm apostate, right? Like I've read the Bible back to front. I've memorized the Pentateuch and the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. I grew up in the church, unfortunately. Like I've sat in those rooms where they
weekends, eh?
Yeah, dude, it's the best. I spent a lot of time in youth group, So it's like a double-edged sword, because one of the things I love the most is taking that information and sewering those guys with it, right? It's my favorite thing to do. So this dude says, he's like, in the Bible's very clear about pro-life issues. And I'm like, it absolutely says nothing about pro-life. And as a matter of fact, in the Bible, there's a verse in the Bible, and it's in the New Testament, and I believe it's in Corinthians, where it talks about how life isn't life until it breathes. The Supreme Court said the same thing. Life isn't life until it breathes. So when you say pro-life, I don't take personal offense when you say it, but when people use the term pro-life to corner you and your belief system, they're not pro-life. They're pro-birth. No. That's it. And they're pro-colonial bullshit. And they're pro-toxic masculinity. And if you're a woman, and this is what fucking shocked me the most about the Roe v. Wade, and I want to ask how you felt, but if you're a woman, just someone telling you that you are not allowed to choose, and a woman telling you you're not allowed to choose, is mind-bending to me. And I saw that. I saw women coming after you. I saw men coming after you. Like, how do you even square that, number one, as an influencer who's just trying to, contribute to the greater good? But then the other part of that is, like, how did it make you feel, right? Like, when you heard Roe v. Wade was going to get turned, and then you saw it get turned over, right? Then you saw it get removed. It's a federal right to an abortion in the United States. I don't have to worry about it because I'm not a woman. I have to worry about being an ally. But how did it make you as a female with a reproductive system feel? Like, how does it make you feel today watching what happens? Because it's bleeding up here too. Polyev hasn't said jack shit, nothing. Conservatives haven't said nothing, not a word. And they want to get in. Like, how does that make you feel as a female?
Well, I think that's the first thing, that, you're sitting here and you have the vantage point of a Canadian, and people are saying, well, why do you care? Because it doesn't even affect you, right? And it's like, well, first of all, and I did say this on the podcast, it was that this is a human rights thing, right? When we've got one of arguably the most influential countries in the world drawing a very, very disgusting line in the sand about women and their rights to agency and bodily autonomy, that's a big deal on an international level. So I'm going to have thoughts about that, because it affects a lot of people within the United States of America. It's could potentially influence policy elsewhere. We don't know what the downstream impacts of that are, because we haven't had enough time to see it yet. And I think it is a little naive to sit here and go, well, I'm glad that I'm Canadian because this won't impact me or other women or people with uteruses here in Canada, because just because it doesn't now doesn't mean that it couldn't happen here, right? There was probably a time that people in the United States didn't think that this was a possibility, that Republicans have been muttering about this since it happened, and people thought, nah, this one's going to stick. And here we are. And I think we have to be diligent in Canada. And for that reason, Canadian people, not just people with uteruses or people who have the ability to get pregnant, give birth, need to be angry enough to do something now before we get to that place, before we have a government in power who can affect this type of change. And then we've got to try to fight to reverse it.
Yeah, I don't think a lot of people realize that the United States was actually more progressive in that law than we are here. We don't have a law that protects it. We decriminalized abortion is all we did.
Yeah.
We just don't deal with it on a legal
It wasn't
federal
a
legal level,
right in Canada, I think, until the 80s, like early 80s, if I'm not mistaken.
No, it's not even a protected right. It's just decriminalized. That's all it is here.
Yeah. And I read that that's actually the way we wanted to go with it, because if it's seen as a health care service, it's a little less impacted or possibly impacted in the political sphere versus a law, which can be debated a lot easier, so to speak, than a healthcare service. So
yeah, Harper tried.
I did. Yeah. And I saw a multi sort of tweet thread where someone did a really good job, and I wish I remembered who it was, really articulating why we don't actually want to push to pass this as law. But I still think we've got to be careful. I think we are hearing, members of the Conservative Party who are indicating that in their lifetime, they'd like to see that the access to abortion goes away, if that's their religious beliefs or whatever that might be. But that's bleeding over, and that's not the way that this needs to be. Your personal beliefs are your personal beliefs. You don't want to have an abortion, don't have an abortion. That's part of being pro-choice, is that I'm not going to tell you what to do with your body either. Have all the babies you want to have. Just don't fucking tell me what to do with mine. That's all I'm asking.
And it's in those two words, pro-choice. You're not saying fuck you.
Yeah.
You're not saying I hate your God. You're not saying your Bible sucks. You're not saying you're an idiot. You're saying, how about free choice for everybody? And you know what? I thought about it today, and I was listening to a podcast with these guys, Ryan Holiday from the Daily Stoic. By the way, we've got Donald J. Robertson, one of my favorite Stoic authors, on Monday, by the way.
Wow.
Like that. But I was listening to this podcast today with Sam Koppelman and Ryan Holiday, and they were talking about this dark energy that pops up. You know, sometimes it recedes, sometimes it goes forward, but this dark energy that really surrounds conservative, religious fuck faces, really. I mean, that's not what they said in the podcast. I'm using that for my own edification. But this dark energy, and I can tell you who the baddies are, and I can tell you who the goodies are. Like, I can tell you who the bad people are online. I can tell you who the bad people are in this world, because those are the people that want to remove choice for others that they have nothing to do with, right? And you can generally see when someone gets negatively attached to something that has nothing to do with them, and they go full marks, like they go hammer fucking down, and they try to tell everybody the way it works, and they try to tell everybody that you don't need this choice and this is the way it should be, because they've got some kind of morality clause in their belief system. Those are the people that are terrible. Those are the bad people online. And when you look at what happened with Roe v. Wade, and then you can see the people parroting some of the bullshit up here in the Conservative Party, etc., those are bad people. Like, it's really simple. If someone wants to take away your choice that has nothing to do with them, and it's of no net benefit or loss to the greater good, meaning, like, the pandemic's very different. Freedom of choice, I didn't think that people should have had it. I think people should have gotten the vaccine. But I wasn't about to go and fucking say, hey, listen, we should be... Well, maybe I did actually say we should put people in cages and shoot vaccine darts at them.
A couple of times. A few times. That was just one of the ideas I think you came up with.
Scratch that moral bullshit. I was just...
Dean's got the vaccine in the drinking water.
Yeah.
I'd put it in people's toothpaste if I could. But we did... that was right at the start of the thing. But this is like... You know, not
anti-vaxxers don't brush their teeth.
No, but like, whether or not a woman is, you're correct, whether or not a woman is pregnant has nothing to do with your neighbor and their belief system. But for some reason they think it does. And do you know what that means? It means they're terrible fucking people who want bad things for society because they believe in those bad things. And to me, it's really simple, isn't it? Isn't that kind of the simplest way to kind of explain it? Is that there's a dark energy that surrounds bad people, and they want other people, and they fucking travel with it, and they try to fucking smother you with their dark energy, and it is all about bad shit.
I think some people, like, you know, it's that drink the Kool-Aid shit that we've seen, just an overabundance of this. It's been on, you know, it's on a hyper steroids this year, where people are just buying into ideas and rhetoric that they're being sort of sold, right? And you've got to think about two groups. To me, there's always two groups. There's the people who bought the bullshit, and then there's the people who sold it. The people who bought it, when it comes to abortion, those are the ones who are being told these women are horrible people, they're irresponsible, they're sluts, they're whores, they're doing all this stuff, and they deserve to have all of this negative sentiment around their activities. And it's okay to tell them that they're a murderer, and it's okay to tell them that they're a fucking piece of shit because they're a horrible sinner who's been sleeping with men. And the number of times people told me in my mentions, you should keep your legs closed. I was like, you seem like the exact same people who cry when a girl won't fuck you. So I'm not sure. You got to pick a lane, my dude, because you're swerving all over the highway. You're swerving all over the highway. So, you know, I mean, there's that. Like, they're just all over the place, but that's it, right? It's controlling women when it comes to sex, because I want access to you when I want it. But if you give away access to yourself, aka you have agency, aka you have bodily autonomy, I'm not okay with that, because that's a threat to me, because you might not choose me. And if I don't get to control you and it comes up to a choice that you might make, I'm going to be left out in the cold. That's a guy that's terrified. But those people have been indoctrinated with these beliefs that all of this stuff is horrible and that women are horrible for doing these things. And the people who sold them, those are the ones with the dark energy, because those are the people who know that it isn't about removing choice, it's about adding shackles. If you can make women if you can force women to be pregnant and give birth against their will, you take so much agency away from them, because they're going to be forced to stay in marriages that they don't want to be in. They can't be in the workforce. They can't contribute to society in the ways that they have been over the last couple of decades, which means you hand back a lot of unearned power and authority to men.
Is this why you, two questions, is this why you're taking part in some heavy-duty woodworking?
Just working out all my aggression on that damn table.
For sure.
I didn't even need the sander. I was just using the manual paper. That table used to be black.
That's not even her table. It's her neighbor's table. She didn't even ask.
It was my male neighbor. I was like, you know what? Fuck you, buddy.
Fuck you and your table.
You can't tell me what I'm going to do.
Fuck out of your table.
Yeah, you can't tell me what I'm going to do with my body. If I want to use my body to sand your table, it's my choice.
And the other question I had for you is apparently not your Catholicism. You don't practice it anymore.
No, I don't. No, I don't. No, I don't. You know what? And I think it's interesting.
The pandemic makes it hard, right?
Yeah, it's hard.
It was really that damn Justin Trudeau shutting down the churches and removing my rights. No, I think the most interesting thing for me was I actually studied. Through Catholic education, and at least in the province of Ontario, you go do world religions through high school, and then I did it again in university. So I did it in university again, partially just because I knew it, so I could get a pretty good mark on that without trying too hard. But the other part of it was really wanting to understand what people believe and recognize that even if you were raised Christian or Catholic or whatever it is, like, you're not the only sort of you don't have the only beliefs in the world, and understanding how other people
don't tell them that, Sam.
No, God, no.
I know.
Do not tell them that they're wrong. Do not tell them that listen. The one thing you can't do to someone who's got fucking real estate in the afterlife is to tell them heaven doesn't exist and their entire belief system is bullshit, because they're fucking counting on it, Sam. Like, seriously counting on it.
And that's what it came down to for a lot of this stuff, right? Is that sort of very kind of Christo-fascist belief system where it's like the way we believe is the right way. And anybody who contradicts it doesn't just have a difference of opinion. Like, you're dead wrong. And also, you're a bad person. And that's not every Christian person, right? I know people who have a lot of spirituality, a lot of faith, but the loud spoken ones, the ones that we're seeing a lot more at the forefront of these conversations, they're the ones that have gone so far with it that it's like, if you don't think like us, you're the devil. And it's the craziest thing that I've seen kind of permeating regular everyday discourse just over the last, year or so.
Has it made it hard? Has it made it harder for you? I mean, you started doing the influencer thing in 2018. And by the way, Sam G joined us at Sam G on Twitter is where you can find us. Is it at Sam G or it's Sam G on Twitter?
It's Sam G.
It's Sam G.
It's Sam G. Sorry. What is at Sam G, which is on your Chiron?
I don't know what's that is. That was me misnaming myself, I guess.
It's her burner account.
That's awesome. At It's Sam G. She's one of the best follows. Like, not only super funny and great woodworking tips on how to take the stain off of a buffet table, but she also, speaks common sense. I mean, this is what why I wanted to have you on, is have a few laughs. But we never get the perspective of somebody who has had to literally watch this stuff, and it means everything to them, right? In terms of how you operate, and getting your perspective on what it is, because I live in a silo. I think we do by and large since the pandemic started, is we live in these weird silos where we have these like opinions on what's happening around us, but they get muted by people who say, no, that's not me. That's not who I am. But you just nailed it. This Christo-fascist movement that's happening globally. It's not just in this country. I mean, what happens in the States, it bleeds up here. We've said that a ton of times. But if I'm a woman, right, or if I'm a gay man or woman, or if I'm a transgendered person, or if I'm someone who identifies as something that doesn't require you to tell me which pronouns I use, I'm fucking terrified right now. Like, I am fucking terrified right now because of this movement. Because there's a group, there's a culture, there's this dark energy that's telling you, no. Your belief system is wrong. and ours is the only tap that can give you life. So turn it on. We're going to have a great time. But every metric of that tap is bullshit. Like every single metric. We want to have access to a woman's womb. We also want to make sure that that we turn back the clock, in terms of morality and policies in this country that say
human
you
rights,
can do this and you can't do that. Human rights, absolutely, yeah.
Well, trace it back to where everything, people keep saying we're going backwards, we're going backwards, we're going backwards. Look to where it's taking us back to. Mm-hmm. So you've got this white settler colonialism. The patriarchy is set up to protect that at all costs, right? So the privilege that's afforded to that group, this is why people get so pissed off at me. That video that you showed where I said white men, my God, they lost their minds. And it's like, guys, it's always implied. Not all men is always implied. I'm not talking about every single person. If I thought every single man was like this, I would never leave the house. You've got to be kidding me, right? But it's this idea that the patriarchy as a structure, as a construct, is set up so that it can protect that what is in place for that privilege. Exactly. Yeah. And so everything that's happening takes us back to a time when that power, that control, that authority was granted on the basis that you were born a heterosexual white man. And so if you look at the attack, if it's an attack on women, if it's an attack on LGBTQ+, if it's an attack on people in the BIPOC community, whatever it is, it all has the same undercurrent, which is to prop up that notion of white supremacy. And people freak the fuck out when I say white supremacy, like I'm accusing them of being a KKK white hood wearing person. And it's no, white supremacy. But white supremacy is anything that says that this group needs to be given a certain level of status just because.
Yeah,
that's white supremacy. And then how white supremacy manifests is things like neo-Nazi, KKK, whatever that is.
Christian nationalism, yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
and that's it. People, I think, yeah.
What's the Boy Scouts?
I think
that was a white dude. That's like the KKK started.
The whitest Boy Scouts.
For Christ's sake. Jesus. Yeah, everybody knows it. That's why it turned into like a giant orgy for those losers. Like, I mean, it is literally
just like the Catholic Church.
Bankrupt. Yeah, dude. Like that. We're just sitting here having a conversation, but we're literally uncovering the worst of the worst, and it hides behind white privilege. All of it, male white privilege, toxic male white privilege. And I call it, I know people come after you because they feel like they can. I think women have it worse. I don't know if you guys saw Pierre Poilievre go after Rachel Gilmore from Global News. Did you guys see that? Rachel Gilmore, excellent reporter for Global News. And I'll give Global News credit. Global does actually a really good job. They're one of those organizations that likes to lead, and they like to call things out, and they like to do news. Like, it's actually pretty fucking refreshing these days. So Rachel puts out this thing, and this is my entire point. Rachel puts out this article basically questioning Pierre Poilievre as to why he marched with fucking extremist, terrorist, white supremacists in Ottawa a couple weeks ago. Because he did, for 4 blocks for a fucking photo op.
Yep.
Right? So did Warren Kinsella. In the Sun, and I gave him credit for it the other day. And I know Warren, and I like Warren, and we've exchanged a couple of tweets. I don't identify, and in fact, I don't even really know what it is that he does at Daisy Group, and nor do I care. He's just been nice to me. I've been nice to him, and I support the things that he says that I support. So he puts out an article basically saying the same thing, that the Conservative Party in Canada has been kind of overrun with the convoy losers, and the convoy losers all are in the Conservative Party, and they're all white supremacists, and they're all a bunch of douchebags. So, and asking Pierre Poilievre, is that who you want to, curate a party with? Is that which they have? So Pierre Poilievre puts out this one-page statement, just basically a Trump bit, saying, we've been smeared by this woman. We've been smeared by this one woman. No, man. There have been thousands of men that have called you a piece of shit online.
We're here every day.
News, every single day. I called him a fucking lumbersexual for like 3 weeks. We made a porn parody of him rubbing wood, and we call him a fucking white supremacist at every turn because it's exactly what he is, along with a religious cult member. But anyway, that doesn't matter right now. We're going to get to that with Jamesy a little later on the network. But my point is this, is that he felt, and this is a great example of what you're talking about, Sam G. At It's Sam G on Twitter, not what's on her Chiron. She messed that up. Don't worry about it. But at It's Sam G, it's a perfect example of what you're talking about, because he knew and felt more comfortable sewering this woman who did a fantastic job because she's a woman. Like, it was all there. The misogyny in that fucking letter that he sent absolutely typifies and represents how fucking awful of a human being Pierre Poilievre is, and how fucking corrupt and white supremacy and absolutely white privileged the conservatives in this country and the conservative movement is. They are terrible fucking people, and it came out in that letter. And I'd love to get your thought on it, because I might be going too hard because I just simply hate the man and religion, but that's what I saw. That's what I saw.
Well, I saw like, it was interesting because he went on that tirade about the fact that it was slander. It was all of this stuff that she had suggested he was having these, back alley conversations with the convoy and the folks associated with the convoy that you don't want to be associated with, which in my opinion is all of them. And then it was like, he was going to meet with them on Canada Day, I think was the gist of, if we're talking about the same thing, it's that he was going to meet with them on Canada Day. And then lo and behold, he turns around and meets with them on June 30th. And they're like, okay, so were you going after her for slander because she got the date wrong? Because that could just be an edit to the, like, I got my own fucking name wrong on the Dean Blundell show. Like, sometimes we make typos, folks. But like, the gist of this is that the meat of what we're talking about here is correct. Yeah. You met with these fucks, and how dare you try to tear this woman down using the platform and the voice that you have for accusing you of something that you did. And I saw him absolutely just get dragged in the replies of the tweets where people were showing the pictures of him with these guys, because they're like, how did you go on record saying that not only were you not doing it, but to the extent that you were adamantly denying it and throwing her under the bus for suggesting you were. And then there you are with your smug little face walking alongside this one particular dude. It's wild that he gets away with doing this stuff, and there's still people that are like, nah, this is a good guy with good intentions for this country. Because it's for me, it's like, I don't think Pierre represents the entire Conservative Party. I think they need to make a better choice if they're gonna go at this. Make a better choice, because he's not it, and it terrifies me that he's gonna get the leadership.
It would, if you're female, or if you're BIPOC, or if you're any kind of marginalized individual, which I don't mean to say women are marginalized, but we have, and that's what he does. That's what he did to Rachel Gilmore. He marginalized her because he's afraid of men, because he's literally an incel that lucked into a family. That's what he is. That's what this group is. They should just call themselves the Incel Party of Canada. Seriously. Like,
did you see what her questions actually were? Like, she released them last night in a tweet thread, and she actually she verbatim said, "This is what I asked him. This is why he got so upset." And the questions were very innocuous. They were easy softball questions. Whereas Warren took a strip out of them. Like, Warren actually really gave it to him on the chin, or gave him a splinter. I don't know what his
He's
kink
deadly
is.
too. He's a
I don't want to kink shame Pierre, but Warren took him apart surgically, and he would have had. Yeah, and if he would have just put her name, taken her name out, taken Rachel's name out, and put Warren's name in, I would have totally understood his tactic. That's not what happened. He went after somebody because he knows that his following and his base will just become activated and go after her too. That's the only reason why he did it.
I was encouraged. Sorry, go ahead.
It's so gross. No, I was just it's gross. Like, it's so obvious and plain to see for everybody, and the fact that people just are willfully choosing to ignore it and either that or endorse it it's a sad state of your character if that's the case.
I was encouraged by the response. Like, all the good people came out in support of Rachel, right? Like, a bunch of good guys, like Mosgrove came out and support all the big cats who lead with their fucking putting their privilege aside, and that's because that's what will change everything. And I think Sam and I were talking about it before, about how to be an ally as a man, right? Like, as a white man, because I'm of a firm opinion, and I really do believe this with all my heart, is that things will change when white dudes start taking that privilege and risking it for the greater good, risking it for people who need that risk, who need you to stand with them, not in front of them, but with different people in different groups, right? So when white guys have the ability to say to other white guys and police other white guys, and listen, it's not about, but like, we have a white guy problem in this country. We have a white guy problem, generally speaking,
in the West.
Yeah. We are a bunch of colonial fucking monkeys whose animal brains are not getting past that reasoning portion that most of us seem to have kind of lucked into or read into or have the ability to use that part of our brain. We're like, it is unreasonable for a man to tell a woman. Like, I find it unreasonable for Dean Blundell to say to Sam G, Sam, I think I'm going to call the police on you because you plan on terminating your pregnancy, if indeed you were pregnant. Like, that isn't just unreasonable. That's hate speech, in my opinion. And unless white guys are going to stand there and go, hey, listen, let's all fucking stand up for the right thing, we're going to be in a lot of trouble here in this country. I know Canada's a little less godly than the United States, so it's a little bit different. But that's the only thing that fixes any of this shit, is if white guys actually say, you know what, that's enough. Equality of opportunity. Let people have the choice to be able to act and do what they want to do with their own bodies. And let's stand up for people who other white guys are trying to marginalize through medical treatments or policies or what have you. That I really, truly do believe that, Sam. And I'm not just saying that to be a white knight or to get laid, which I know a lot of guys do. I say that because I can't fucking go to bed at night. I can't sleep on my pillow. I can't go like that. Knowing that I absolutely inserted hatred into the world that is going to hurt another human being who's on this fucking journey of life that I'm on. I really can't. Like, I don't understand it. I don't.
Well, and for me, it was, you know, you see the stuff going around that it's like, if pregnancy happened to men, you'd be able to get an abortion the same way you can get your oil changed. Like, you just drive up, you wait for the door to go up, you drive in, you get your abortion, you drive out the other side. Like, it's like the Jiffy Lube of abortions if it was happening to men. And I mean, obviously that's taking light of a serious situation, which we have to do, because it also illustrates a pretty important point that, one, men have no idea, which is why it's a little, you know, it's easy in the sense that you're speaking on something you don't know, so you can apply all of this dumb opinion that it doesn't have any lived experience to back it up. But two, that privilege does exist, that when there are procedures that men need, it's a hell of a lot easier to get them. Men can walk in and get a vasectomy with like 3 questions. Women are put under the, you know, microscope and, you know, oftentimes ask, did your husband sign off on you getting your tubes tied? You can't make a decision because we're not trusted to make decisions with our own bodies.
My wife is writing an article on it right now. Ashley's literally in the midst of writing an article about it right now because she's going through something as well along this way. I'm sure she won't mind me talking out of school, but she literally has to, like, she went through so many hoops where she was told, no, you can't have that. Well, I don't want to. Well, what if you guys aren't married? It's a big what if game. What if you split up with your husband? What if you want to have kids down there? She's like, I don't want. So finally, Ashley's had enough. She said she was writing something. She says, finally, I've been bugging her, write something. So she's doing it. And you're right. This autonomy thing does not start at abortion. Abortion is halfway down the road. This starts in birth control. This starts in tubal ligation. This starts in getting like any sort of form of birth control, depending on if your doctor agrees that that's a good idea or not. It's so arbitrary. And it's not her decision. It's up to some other person. And this is where the autonomy is not. Sometimes it's not even held in a man's hands. This is held in just somebody else's, like, where women just can't be trusted to make this decision for themselves. And it's bullshit. So sorry, Sam. I didn't mean. I heard it. I'm like, I need you to hear this because we're going through this right now. So.
But I mean, it's so important because I think it's like we've got women who will make a decision, and whether that's the decision that's being made in their 20s because they just know this is not the path for them, or they make it later on, and they're trying to have a conversation with the medical professionals saying, I know the risks. I understand that a tubal litigation is a invasive procedure. I understand that it is almost impossible to reverse it. I get it. Because I'm an intelligent individual who can understand the words that you're saying and what they imply in terms of the long-term ramifications. Thank you. I will sign the form. And they're still like, yeah, but you're going to probably change your mind because your life purpose is to procreate because that's what you were put here for. And you're not really thinking with a clear head. And it's not even conscious for every single person that's coming at it with that sentiment, but it's like there's this understanding that you're denying something that we're biologically put here to do if you don't have a baby, which is just such utter shit as a child-free person, because you're just like, I have a fulfilling life and I didn't have a baby, and that's okay too, right? Like that's part of being pro-choice, is that you have a baby, you don't have a baby, you have 5 babies, you have 1 baby. Like it doesn't fucking matter, because it's not my body to say, and my body's not for you to say what I do with it or how many children I pop out of it or if I do that at all, right? But the fact that a woman can't have the most guaranteed procedure to ensure that she doesn't have any children or any more children without going through all of this, you know, whether it's this third degree of questioning or having to go and shop around at doctors. And a lot of times they want you to wait till you're a certain age. So then there's all these reproductive years where you're risking pregnancy. You got to pump yourself full of a bunch of hormones to prevent a pregnancy. And then you're on the other end of it responsible if you do get pregnant, even though you've done all the right things. All these close your legs people or take birth control people in my mentions over the last couple of weeks. It's like, you know, a lot of these pregnancies are happening because birth control, not a single fucking one form of birth control is 100% foolproof. None of them are 100% effective. So pregnancies still happen, whether you've used condoms, whether you're using the pill, whether you've got an IUD. And that means that person's already gone that far to try to prevent the pregnancy. They don't want to have the baby. Who the hell are you to tell them that you were irresponsible at that point?
Yep. Very well.
Yeah, said. It's eye-opening, dude. It's fascinating. It's a great topic to talk to you about too, because you're obviously schooled and smart, and you've got strong opinions on this, and you represent a side of people. Because what you just said there about men basically trying to preserve their right to your reproductive system is a new wrinkle for me too. I didn't even think of that. Like and the medical system is set up to question when women don't want to have kids, because they literally think, well, what if you upset a man in the future, right? Like that's kind of what she said. What they're saying to Ashley, right? Right? Is like, well, what happens if it doesn't work out with you and your husband? Like, what fucking business is that?
And this is where that autonomy is in question. It's a woman literally has no autonomy over her reproductive system, because just in case a man decides you should probably want to maybe have a baby, and that's what it is. Yeah. This is where we say, like, when you slowly boil the frog, this is slowly boiling that frog down to a sense of total control of a woman. And we've slowly boiled it down with, oh, honey, don't worry, you can stay home, be barefoot and pregnant in the kitchen, I'll go out and work. That was the 50s. And then it turned on, okay, well, now they want to vote. Fuck. All right, let's let them vote, but make sure you tell her who to vote for. Okay, we'll tell her who to vote for. Well, now she's feeling controlled and she feels like there's, she's got angst. Send her to a psychiatrist, but make sure the psychiatrist phones you and lets you know what your wife is saying. And that okay, no problem. Okay, now she's not sure she wants to have a baby. Okay, so let's take her to the doctor and she can ask for her tubes to be tied. Well, Mr. Lindley, do you think this is a good idea for your wife to have her tubes tied?
Who fucking cares?
Like, pardon me, and it's a snowball, and it's snowballed into this society that we live in, where this just becomes a slow-boiled frog, and it's acceptable to the majority of people who are just, and I don't even think they're willfully supportive of it. I think they're just so ingrained. It's just such a fabric of our society now. This is how we treat women, and nobody's ever really went, what the fuck are we doing? Like, why can't she make a decision for herself? Like, remember, they couldn't even get their own loans. You couldn't get a credit card in the 60s if you were a woman unless your husband signed off on it. Like,
but
shit like that.
But it's because it's scary, right? Like, if you're letting women make choices,
you're in trouble.
Like, that might impact you, and
That's
it might
true.
take something away from you. It's terrifying. Yeah. But one of the things that just, my eyes opened was someone saying in coming out of the US, where they're trying to put some pretty heavy penalties for seeking an abortion. I mean, there's certain states
Texas,
where the punishment is for aborting a rapist baby is more severe than the rapists will face for raping you and impregnating you and putting you in the position to have an abortion. So that's what some of these women are up against when they live in those countries, and what the rest of us are watching in horror, saying, what is that saying about how we view women when we think that an abortion, for whatever reason, but especially in that circumstance, is something that deserves a more severe punishment than rape itself. But then it was the point that came out that said, if you go to jail, if you're charged with this as a crime, you can't vote. You can't vote. So you punish them twice, right? Because you take away their ability to vote too. If you start criminalizing medical procedures that only impact
women,
like 50% of the biological sex, what are you effectively doing to a woman's right to vote in terms of how they are represented in the country?
This is that slow-boiled frog. That's that slow-boiled frog.
But the tie-ins are incredible. Like, they're going to jump from one thing to the other, and if you do this, you're going to get penalized. Like, they've literally covered the bases. And say what you want about the evangelical Christian fucks that think this is a great idea. They were patient. Like, they waited 50 years for Roe v. Wade. Like, they sat in the weeds going, don't worry about it. We'll get control of the courts. We'll do all this stuff. And it worked. Like, it absolutely worked. And it's fucking frustrating because when you look back at the history of voting rights, specifically the suffragette movement, if you know anything about it, before women were allowed to vote, not even 100 years ago, before women were allowed to vote, the only reason why they were given the vote, this is a true story, is because white women went to their white husbands and said, hey, listen, here's the deal. Here's the deal. If you want to keep black people out of society, give us the opportunity to help you vote. And that'll give everybody an opportunity to vote. And then we can keep you in these seats of power where you can continue to be colonial pricks. And they're like, not a bad idea. So even a woman's right to vote in the United States came from a man going, that means we'll get more. And it backfired spectacularly. Because all of a sudden black people wanted the right to vote. And they're like, ooh, I don't know if we should do that either. It was inconceivable that black people would have been voting about 50 years ago. Inconceivable.
But that's a part that, but it blows my mind every time I hear the Constitution argument come up, whether it's that abortion isn't a protected right in the Constitution, because everything comes back. They love their two little fucking books, right? They're like the Constitution and the Bible, and we want these things to be blended together because the separation of church and state is heavily problematic for them in the first place. But they reference the Constitution like this should be something that this was a time when black people, especially at that time, were considered 3/5 of a person. Like you're basing gun laws when the weapon or the arms in question was a musket. You're looking at things that were created so long ago and trying to apply it to modern day, but you're not even looking at the mentality of the people who were involved in the creation of this text in the first place. And that it floors me when there's this constant sort of revisiting saying that, well, it's here. And we allowed X number of amendments, but that's where we draw the line. Like, we were cool with you amending it up until this point because an amendment is a change to the original document. I mean, this is as straightforward as the definition gets. And we are okay to accept that there were certain changes allowed up until a certain point. But now we're really comfortable with everything that's written here. So this is it. No more changes. We're done. This is the final draft. It's crazy.
Yeah, just like the Bible. Just like the Bible, we can't change it. Even though Jefferson said, I want this rewritten every 20 years so dead people aren't making the decisions of the land. But we still, that part's not very, very convenient for us right now. We're not going to talk about Jefferson. We'll talk about everybody else and everything else in that. Yeah. Just like the Bible does. Hey, don't listen to that part. You're taking that part literally.
Right.
You need to take it contextually. So it's Christian white men on both sides of the Constitution and the Bible ruling with both in one hand and the other. And that's all it is.
Yep. It is fucking frustrating to watch, especially if you're a dude that's like, hey, listen, I thought we got past this. Like, I thought we were past all that shit. I really did.
I love my wife. I love my wife. Yeah. I love her as a human being, not just because she's my wife. I love her as a human. And so watch shit she goes through that I could walk into the doctor's office tomorrow and say, hey, Alan, I'm buddies with my doctor. Alan, snip it. Yeah, okay. Come in next Thursday. Put some peas on it. You're good. They didn't call Ashley to ask her if it was okay with her. They didn't say, are you okay?
Did I ever tell you about my vasectomy story? No. This is a great story. So I had a vasectomy after I had 3 kids, and I got divorced. And I'm like, I'm going to get out there, and I don't want to have any more kids because I don't want to go through this stuff again. That's just the truth. I'm just telling you the truth. Okay, Here you go. They're just laying it on Front Street.
Same here. I've got a kid.
Got a vasectomy.
No more.
My buddy's a urologist, and we had cottage on the same lake, and he's like, I'm like, I think I need a vasectomy. He goes, come in Monday. And this is like on a Saturday. And we drilled vodka sodas on the dock for a few hours that night. And then I went and saw him on the Monday. You're supposed to have a couple of appointments prior to that. No appointments, nothing.
Nope.
He just said, shave your gear, show up Monday at 9:30 in the morning, and I'll take care of it. In, out, not one single question. Yes, there is some privilege there because I knew the dude, but that is generally speaking the process of getting a vasectomy. You don't get wasted with your urologist 2 days ahead of time, though. However, I did. And that is exactly the process. And that's what guys have to go through. That's it. Women get at the 5th degree. Like I see Ashley, your wife, in the comments section. She's like, I asked for this, I asked for this, I asked for this, and I got put through the 3rd degree, and then I got to go find it. Like, literally, this is how women are treated in the medical system. And the fact that you guys don't talk about it that much, you're heroes. Like, I'm finding out about a lot of this today.
Yeah.
Well, so there's 2 things on that. One of them is the fact that, I saw this funny TikTok that was like, the fact that women right now just are angry, like, guys, you're lucky they don't want revenge. Like, you're really lucky that women are handling it as well as they are, because we're thinking about this from, like, if this was being done to us, like, we burn the shit to the ground, right? Yeah. And this is guys kind of speaking up on behalf of women. So it's crazy, but the other thing is just like, it's not just the vasectomy versus the tubal litigation. Like we said before, it's all of those paths, Ryan, right? It's everything to do with reproductive health and preventing pregnancy. Women are, like I said earlier, ingesting hormones that are messing with our bodies to whatever degree. They piloted and tested a male birth control form of a pill or something like that, and they didn't like it. Like, the men didn't like it because it was giving them like mood swings. And I'm just like, mood swings are on the bottom of the list of things that we experience with birth control. I mean, women are full-fledged manic and suicidal sometimes, depending on how it interacts with their bodies. But we got rid of it because it gave dudes the SADs. And it's like, what the and then
not even that. It came also down to the opinion was, I don't know if I'll remember to take it. It's very inconvenient if I have to take this pill. That's literally what it came down to. And like, my wife now is
can I be
battling.
Serious with you for a second? Can I be serious with a second? It's a lot of work to put on a condom.
I mean, so many steps. There's the ripping and the opening and the unraveling,
and putting it on, and
that awkward
silence where you're like, hang on 1 second, I'll be right with you. Hang on 1 second.
Excuse me.
That's tough. That's tough. Sorry, Ashley. What? Ashley's going through.
No, she's and like, actually today we were supposed. But thank you, Rogers, for not getting my wife the extra drugs she's supposed to be on now because of the drugs she's already on now. Mm-hmm. She has an IUD, and the IUD is causing an incredible amount of like acne and things on her. And she's never had this before. She's a beautiful, beautiful woman, and her self-esteem is in the toilet. So she called the doctor, and the doctor's okay, well, we're going to give you this hormone. We're going to give you this antibiotic, and we're going to give you this cream. So we're just piling drugs on top of drugs to keep her on drugs, when all she said was, tie my fucking tubes.
Yeah.
Well, we don't want to do that because, you might change your mind one day. She's like, I'm not changing my mind. Yeah, but you might.
Tie him in a bow knot, then I'll be able to change my mind.
And that's it. And they're literally projecting our divorce, saying, "Well, what if you leave your husband and you'd like to have kids down the road?" And it's not even just the doctor.
I'm sorry, I'm laughing. I'm in disbelief. Sorry,
it's true. Her own family did this to her as well when she was trying to make this decision. Her mother, and this is the thing, some women are to the point where they're brainwashed into this idea as well, and those are the ones that are getting behind this. And that's why they think that's why men who are doing it think they're emboldened to keep going, because some brainwashed woman who's been under a thumb of a man for her entire life thinks it's okay. She's going through this as we speak, and like I say, she'll be writing something about it. You can read it on deanblundell.com when she's done, because she's fed up. She's done. She wants to find another doctor, and we love our doctor. We have the same doctor, which was really weird. We actually had the same doctor before we even met, which was kind of cool. So, but it's not.
Cool. He's
not,
touched both your privates.
Both
before your privates touched intimately.
That's it. Isn't that neat?
Yeah.
Never thought of it that way.
Yeah, there
it's
you go.
Like the universe just brought you guys together.
The genital universe just kind of matched up there.
By my doctor, he looks like Jewish Gene Simmons, by the way.
Well, Gene Simmons is Jewish, so congratulations.
No, like a really Jewish Gene Simmons.
Sam, sorry, you're going to say something.
No, but the thing is, and I hear these stories so often, right? It's the males don't take the birth control because they're mopey or whatever it is. But the other one too is like hearing about guys that are going to get like these colonoscopies and things like that, and they're given like Ativan and they're given memory blockers and like all kinds of crazy shit because some doctor needs to stick something up their butt for an hour and make sure that they're not dying, and guys are like given the white glove treatment to make sure that this isn't a traumatic experience. Yes. Have you ever talked to a woman about what it's like to get an IUD in this country?
I have. Yeah. Apparently it's one of the more painful things in the world.
Oh, yeah, so I'll speak for it. Firsthand experience. They don't tell you because I don't know. I don't know why they don't warn you. The advice you're given before the appointment is you should take some Advil, right? You're just like, oh, okay, I'll take it. I'll take an Advil. You've got a metal rod stuck through your undilated cervix, not once, but twice, because they got to measure the shit the first time. They don't tell you anything before it happens. You're just like, oh, we're done. No, that was just the first step. Women are throwing up, fainting, like in a tremendous amount of pain, cramping for 5 days after having this thing. We can't even convince medical professionals to give us some kind of localized sedative or something that would kind of just make that procedure better. An IUD is a fairly reliable form of birth control. It's not foolproof either. But as far as not having to remember to take it every day, having the hormone more localized, although I do know that it affects some people, I don't buy the hormones localized so you're not having hormonal side effects that my doctors tried to feed me multiple times. But that's kind of the idea behind it. But it is a number one recommended form of birth control from female gynecologists because the human factor gets taken out once it's inserted. It's fairly reliable versus having to remember to take a pill every day or whatever. But you go through all this shit to have this inserted because we carry the lion's share of all of it, preventing the pregnancy, being pregnant, a lot of the stuff that happens following birth. And it's just like, it's not even recognized for how difficult it is. So when people say to me, I think, Dean, to your earlier question, like, how did it make you feel when you were seeing those comments? The one that got my back up the most was men going, well, then you should just take birth control and be more fucking responsible. And you're like, we're doing all of that. Guys, I'm going to borrow this from a comedian, but she was like, guys will behave like putting on a condom is like getting a kid to put a jacket over his Halloween costume. It's like, you're gonna ruin it. It's not as fun with this on. I want to take it off. And that's not my joke, but it's so good. I had to go there with it. Right? We've got guys crying about fucking condoms. Women are getting shit shoved up their cervix. Like, this is bullshit. And that pissed me off. That pissed me off because I was like, you're not even going to say that. First of all, it takes a man to impregnate a woman, and to sit there and say that women should be more responsible when dudes are crying about condoms and crying if you won't fuck them. Like, no, I'm not okay.
Yeah, we do. We cry when you won't bang us. We're such fucking losers. It's unbelievable. It's like everything that we do to get laid. And when the time comes and the woman's like, I'm going to exercise my right to tell you no, we're like, well, fuck, I can't believe I paid for your dinner. Like,
fucking bitch.
Why do you think I was doing this? Because I wanted to be a human being? No, I wanted to have the sex.
So I enjoy your company, for fuck's sake.
There's a group of dudes out there that are like, if you don't, never buy her dinner unless you know you're going to have sex. I find that to be one of the fucking
Jordan Peterson crowd.
Yeah, the Jordan Peterson group. All those fucking losers. They're unbelievable to me. Sorry, Sam, you're going to say something.
It's like, hey, boys, guess what? There is a whole way to get sex as a transaction. You just got to go that route, right? Like, you can do this. You can figure out how to exchange money for sex. There's just no meal involved usually. The transaction is 1-to-1, but you can do that. But it's utter fucking nonsense when I see that shit, and I see it all the time where it's like this idea that my wallet somehow affords me a say in the matter. And this came back at me with the abortion shit happening on TikTok, because the guy that stitched me, that kind of lured in the rest of the incels, that was his whole thing, was that he felt like if women get to choose to keep a baby or not keep a baby, then if a man doesn't want a baby and he can't force her to have an abortion, which I would go on record saying he thinks he should be able to have a say in that too, in terms of AKA make the decision for her, but that he should be able to walk away and not be financially responsible, because to them, a female body and a male wallet are on equal playing field in terms of importance. My bank account is just as important as your right to your body. That's the message that you get with that one. That's the message that you get with I bought dinner and I should get to fuck you.
Yeah. Yeah,
you're right.
Fucking,
it's relative.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
You're righteous. And I feel like this has been a long time. This conversation's been a long time coming, and you've wanted to have it for a while. But I don't know.
I have this conversation every day. Anyone that gets on the phone with me, there's no such thing as a short conversation with Sam on the phone. Like I call him, like, you have a few minutes.
I'm in public.
Feel bad for the pizza joint that she orders pizza from. That poor guy.
Yeah. I'll take a pepperoni mushroom. And by the way, let's fucking talk about male reproductive rights versus female reproductive rights, asshole.
My Uber delivery guys were leaving the stuff on the porch before COVID. They were like, we're not getting pulled into this again.
No, but I feel like publicly, because you've got a great podcast, Din and Prayer, folks. If you haven't, oh, by the way, sorry, that's the wrong one. Sorry about that. I wrote that wrong. It's called the Where's Our Participation Trophy podcast, which you can get. It's yourself and Dana Prairie. You do a great job. And you covered this in your last podcast. You cover the Roe v. Wade stuff. She's in the United States, if I'm not mistaken, right? So it's a different kettle of fish for her because it's actually happening for her. Is she in California? Is that right? So she's in a safe state?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Gavin Newsom's like, he's going after all of it. He's like, fuck everybody. We're going to make this the best state in the world to live in. So but I mean, it's still there. And Joe Biden today, I don't know if you saw this, he actually signed an executive order that says, no. If you want medical abortions, we'll send you anything you want. And by the way, people have to pay attention to you. So we signed that into an agreement today, which was fascinating. But if you follow these two lovely ladies, and if you've listened to their podcast, you touch on it, but it was like you wanted to get into the fun stuff and all the other shit. But I feel like this has been like a great opportunity for you to be, and it has for me, because it's been a fucking great education. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, and it sounds ignorant at the age of 49. Yes, I'm old. At the age of 49, that I'm finding out about, tubal ligation and other reproductive issues that some women have when they actively choose to not engage their reproductive system to have children, that the state seems to still have a problem with it in this country. And I know that the roles are different when it comes to the responsibility. And I know that guys are massive pussies when it comes to this kind of stuff. Like, we are so soft because we've never been in the position to actually do the hard stuff like you've done. So there's no appreciation for it, right? And there should be. There absolutely should be, but I feel like this was a long time coming, and just in the conversation publicly, being and I hope it helped you kind of. And fuck, I mean, I'm so grateful that you took time to just kind of join us and talk about this and some other stuff. But I do want to talk about one more thing before you go, because this is really and I'm a little nervous to talk to you about this. I don't know if you want me to talk to you about this, but you took a giant shit all over these meat seltzers on Instagram and on Twitter.
I didn't see this one. That's fucking brilliant.
And I did some research into this. So if folks, if you're listening to this podcast on Apple, iTunes, Spotify, etc., I brought up a tweet that Sam put up 22 hours ago. And it is in reference to a lady who put up a picture of something new that you can purchase in the United States called the Oscar Mayer meat seltzer. Now, the meat seltzer, like, if you can't see it, they got this is a hard seltzer, like, your High Noons or your Claws, White Claws.
Oh, it is alcoholic.
Oh, yeah. This is 5.2% alcohol by volume. Ham and cheese meat seltzer, hard seltzer made with ham, added ingredients, and smoke flavor. You can also get the original bologna.
Okay. All right, now I know that's booze in it.
I don't like.
Yeah. Hard seltzer made with chicken, pork, and beef. Just reading that makes me laugh. And then you can get the olive loaf meat seltzer. Look at Sam's face. And I looked into this, but before I tell you what's the ingredients, you shit all over it. Your tweet was, "My bologna has a first name. It's not a fucking chance." And I laughed my ass off. I did a little research into this. Martin Brewing House Company has in large part built their reputation on weird products like beers made with salsa verde and mustard pickles. They also make plenty of beers too, and just like this other brewer that jumped into the hard seltzer trend, launched a line of awesome hard seltzers, including the unbelievable meat seltzers, 5.2% alcohol by volume. And here's what they make it with. They make it out of 52 pounds of leftover boiled wiener water.
We talk about wiener wine on the show a lot.
Yeah, all the time. That's wiener wine.
Wasn't that a Limp Bizkit thing they had? The hot dog flavored water?
Yeah, that was their album.
Starfish and the hot dog flavored water. Yeah.
It was a Limp Bizkit reference.
I'm
going to tell you right now. I would drink if I drank. I would drink that. I would have to try that.
I'd have to try it.
Yeah. And don't tell me, Sam, listen, I don't want to put words in your mouth. Definitely not after this conversation, but you'd probably try it too, right? Come on. You'd give it a go.
I would try it. Like, I'm
a sip.
I'm someone who's I'm gonna try stuff just to say that I did. And like, I mean, the loaf is just dry heave. I saw the stupid loaf itself in the grocery store today and just stood there going, why is this still a thing? Like, how has this still made it through these decades? Because I remember that being around when I was a kid. And so the fact that they've made it into a drink, I was telling people, because we've got, I think, I don't know which company it is. It's not Heinz, but they've got ketchup flavored popsicles going around right now. And Abby from Twitter, she went on and she did a TikTok. She tried them live and she was saying at first it tastes like a Caesar, like the drink, the Caesar. And then it gets a little bit more gross and ketchupy, but your initial take on it. So like, I do it just because I kind of got to if I got my hands on one. So if anyone wants to send one up, I'll get a P.O. box or something.
That's it. That's why I did it. That's why I did it. I want these guys, I'm going to send them a note and I want them to send this to you. And I want you to do a taste testing of these. I'm going to call Martin House Brewing Company. Will you do it? Yeah.
Oh yeah, totally. Yeah.
And then I want a full review. I want a full review of the ham and cheese, original bologna, and olive loaf meat seltzers. Because I, as a non-drinker, and I'm starting to think maybe I should get back into the booze. I don't know. Maybe
Probably.
Yeah, because all the good stuff's coming out. Like that
sounds
good
like a
stuff.
great idea.
That's the one. That was the one that made you feel like you had to get off the wagon or on the wagon or whatever part of the wagon.
All that work he's done.
I jumped off the wagon, jumped on, and it just fucking blew the wagon up. I'm like, wagons are for losers.
Ashley put it the best. She says, speaking of abortions, something that should have been aborted immediately is this fucking idea right here. Jesus Christ.
Like, imagine you're the guy in the concept at that brewing house going like, your job is to just figure out what's the fucking craziest thing we can do. And you're like, olive loaf, that's the one. Boom. And then your idea goes through. Like, you pitched that because you were just like, whatever, we're just blue sky in this shit. And they were like, yeah, no.
Yeah, that sounds great.
We got it.
Well, and they're like, fuck, what do we do with this 52 pounds of hot dog flavored water? And they're like, fuck, Jim's got a great idea. Pimento loaf flavoring. But you don't like pimento? I'm a big pimento loaf guy. I don't have a problem with
can't do it.
The problem that
What is wrong with you?
Head cheese. It's an olive. It's in some meat. Big deal. Don't get too crazy. It's not a big deal. Well, you eat hot dogs, don't you? Do you guys eat hot dogs?
Do you like head cheese?
No,
head one of those
cheese
people?
Is disgusting. No, head cheese was based.
I didn't even know what head cheese was. Someone made me Google it because I posted something about some other food, and someone was like, "Don't you dare Google head cheese." I'm like, "Well, of course I'm Googling head cheese the minute I see it," and it was like, there's some gross.
I don't even know how to describe head cheese other than it's like all the shit that was left in the bottom of your crisper, and someone managed to get it into a loaf. Like that's pretty much.
And then you pour vinegar on it.
Have you not seen head cheese before? Go ahead, Sam. What
head cheese looks the way hockey gloves smell. Like, it looks to me like it smells the way hockey gloves
smells the
like,
same.
That's
You're
the only thing my brain. Yeah.
That's so close.
That's head
cheese.
Oh, yeah.
Because you
it
pour
looks like
vinegar
someone
on
has
that.
Packaged up some vomit, like neatly packaged up,
or
some
frozen.
Vomit.
Yeah, like outside on a New Year's Eve in Canada.
Snow. Yeah.
Yeah. And outside of the CN Tower on New Year's Eve, like right at Young Dundas Square, you see these everywhere after New Year's Eve. Yeah.
Oh yeah, this head cheese looks like your dog barked in the snow. It's a great fucking analogy.
Yeah.
It's all in there. Right? Yeah, just dares.
That's a war crime.
It's a war crime. Sam G, you can follow Sam anywhere you are. If you got Twitter, if you got TikTok, at it's Sam G _ Samantha Graham _ on TikTok. You can also subscribe to their podcast. It's called, and it's a good one. It's a really good one with Dana Pereira. It's called Where's Our Participation Trophy? Follow them on Twitter at Where's Our Trophy. You can also follow them anywhere you get your fine podcast, and all of Sam's information is in her link tree, which is in the description of this very podcast if you're following us on YouTube. I had a great time with you today. Thank you very much for doing this.
I had an awesome time. Thanks, guys.
Did you?
I did.
This is like the longest show we did all week, by the way. Just so you know, Sam.
I'm all amped up, and now I'm gonna go finish that fucking table. I don't need I'm just gonna use the sandpaper. We're finishing the rest of the table. I've got all of the angst ready to go just to take it out on that table. Thank you, Pierre.
Amazing.
Yeah, I appreciate you being here, Sam. And we'll chat soon. Hopefully we can have you back and maybe bring Dana on and we can just talk about your podcast as well. It's a great one, folks. If you haven't had a chance to go and download it, do it. It's also on YouTube. Subscribe to their YouTube channel. as well.
Yeah.
Again, all that information's in your link tree, which is attached to this podcast. Thanks, Sam.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Talk to you soon. There you go. Sam G, the influencer. How fucking great is she?
Oh my God. I was going to say when you're giving the plugs for her, if a lot of our people are on Twitter, and if you ever see Sam G in a Twitter space, make sure you join it because it's going to be good. She's always fire in those Twitter spaces. My favorite thing.
She's, you know what she is? She is a content unicorn. In this game, there are like content unicorns, right? But she's like a budding content unicorn. Where she's like happy to do the content, interested, not afraid of going into spaces. Like there are a lot of people that get scared away from the kind of content that we do, which is like, hey, fuck bad people, and we go
be
after
polarizing.
Yeah. And she's not afraid. You know, she's not afraid to go into those spaces. She'll fucking punch you out with verbiage too.
It's amazing.
Like I've seen guys go at the end of a tweet thread with her, go, "Fuck you."
Yeah, but she does it with charm, with grace, and she will again, she'll just take you apart piece by piece, and by the end of it, you're like, "Where's my pants? Where's my shirt? My car's gone. Holy shit, I've got nothing." And
like
it includes my argument. My argument's gone too.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I never want to get on her bad side. Yeah.
Oh
no,
no,
not the woman you want to mess with. Yeah, and what an ally for women too, right? Like just super. Anyway, follow her. She's terrific. She's like one of the best followers on Twitter and on social media. Thanks for doing this, bud. By the way, quick update. 2 things. Roger's internet is still down.
Yeah, it sure is. I keep looking at my phone, and it just says I'm allowed to make emergency calls, and that's about it.
You're not even allowed to make those, dude. You know that.
I can't. I'll get some.
You can't make emergency calls on that phone because it goes straight to Buffalo. Like that's the thing.
Or
Roger's internet has been down since 4:00 in the morning. No one has internet access if you're a Rogers customer. You got no internet, no home internet, no nothing, zero. No cell phone service. You can't even fucking call 911 in Canada.
Nobody's talking either. That's the thing. That's what's really bothering me is that nobody has given an actual good explanation of what the fuck is going on.
I was listening to a Twitter Spaces actually earlier today, which I don't normally do. I do Twitter Spaces. I rarely listen to them. But my buddy Peter Nowak from Tech Savvy, which, by the way, they don't pay us a dime. I love those guys.
Yeah, I saw people talking about that today, and they're full of shit. Like we don't take money from Tech Savvy guys. They're just a good service.
No, we will, and we will.
Oh, yeah.
But we don't. For me to say, go to Tech Savvy, because Tech Savvy's an internet provider, and they've been shut out because of the CRTC bullshit, because Canada has a monopoly, an oligopoly in the telco industry. It's Bell, Rogers, Telus, that's it. It's really Bell and Rogers. Rogers is down 13, 14 million people out, 2 million different, and I found this out today from my executive buddy, 2 million businesses don't have the internet today. Can't process payments, nothing. A lot of these businesses don't even have a place to put cash. They're like, fuck, I guess we'll just put it in the bag. Come on in, just give us your money, put it in the bag.
Yeah.
Like billions lost in this country today. And you know what? Not a fucking word from Rogers. Zero.
Or from the government.
Figure it out. Oh, no. JF Champagne said he was going to try and figure it out.
Oh, you know what I did find really funny?
What's that?
Did you see the tweet from the CRTC today saying that their phones weren't working? Considering they enabled the duopoly in this country and they're eating shit today from it. It does. That made my heart warm a little bit today. Just saying.
No, you got to go to Tech Savvy. You have to. I'll go to any small internet provider after this, because Tech Savvy, what they do is they piggyback off of Bell and Rogers lines, right? And Telus lines. And Cogeco lines. Mm-hmm. And so depending on, like, if you have Tech Savvy and you don't have service today, it's because of Rogers. Rogers did that. Has nothing to do with Tech Savvy. Tech Savvy's alive and well, and the customer service is fucking absolutely the best in the country. The best. And there's service all over the country. But this is what Tech Savvy was trying to stop, and it happened, right? This is why they
literally a month ago we were fighting for this. We were trying to help to get the word out that we could have stopped things like this from happening. And somebody did the homework today, and I've got to find it. I'll dig it up and I'll send it to you. Rogers is on a 3 to 4 month cycle where they have major outages like this constantly. Bell is a little more reliable because I guess their infrastructure is a little more solid, but Rogers literally does this, yet they continue to tout themselves as the most reliable internet provider in Canada, which they're absolutely not. So I'll find that though, because I didn't realize that they're actually on a continuous trend of having major disruptions that will affect. And you think about having that over the course of 4 quarters in a year. And if one of those happens in every quarter, that's a dent to that economy. Like whoever is those 2 million people that you were talking about that get affected by it. Some of these places can't afford to have 5 hours without their business running, let alone we're now in hour 16, 15, like whatever we're at now. Like, it's crazy.
And the part of it is too, because there is like so much collusion in that space, right? You never find out anything. Like they're never transparent about any of these outages. Remember a few months ago when this happened with Rogers again, and everybody's like, "Oh, Russian hackers," which, by the way, that's rolling around now too. People are like, "Oh, it might be Russian hackers," but you never find out after the fact what the reason was for the outage. And I can tell you this: the last outage, Rogers lied, had nothing to do with an update, nothing. That
Really?
much I know from the. Oh yeah, he's like, "Nah, it wasn't an update. It's not a big deal." But anyway. So 2 things. This is what I think, and this is just an opinion. I know nothing about what's going on. I think they've been hacked. I think they've been compromised, and I think they're being held for ransom. Otherwise,
you think so?
Totally. And
Yeah, or they would have said something by now.
You know how the ransomware gets in there? This is what I think is happening. I think either a different state government has decided that they're going to go fuck around with whatever telco has most of the government contracts. Rogers, CRTC, down today. Just the minister's like, "Oh, we're going to try and fix this right away. We're fucked too." The Canadian government said that. And I think it came out of... This is just me spitballing. I don't know anything. I'm an idiot. But if you were to ask me what the silence is about, the conversations I've had with a couple of friends that have been really cloak and dagger weird, like
Cryptic,
totally weird. We don't know. Don't talk to me about it. I don't want to talk about it.
Call me from a secured line.
Yeah. Go get a payphone. Go find a payphone. Call me from a payphone. But my opinion is that this is something that happened to them, and I think it was intentional, and I think they're being held hostage. And I think as a result, we're seeing literally in real time 2 things. That the war over there is coming here. I really do believe that. I don't have any metrics to tell you whether or not it's true. And I don't think we're ever going to find out, because Rogers and Bell never say anything when this happens. They just go, "Sorry, it was it was an engine. We had a fire there was a guy, it was a hare, there was a thing, and this guy, car accident, and then 2 monkeys jumped in a thing, and then all of a sudden there's a lady with Dutch clogs." Anyways, not a big deal.
You wouldn't believe it.
It's a story so crazy you would never believe it. Yeah. That's what
I agree, and I think this is the time where you want to pay real close attention to accounts like Anonymous, because they're the guys that will like find that kind of stuff out, the actual thing that's happening, and if we were compromised, they'll be the ones to tell us rather than our own goddamn government, which is kind of shitty. But I think you're right, because they're accountable to who? Nobody.
Nope.
Nobody. And this is why we need to look at it. And it's something.
Dude, you know what they're offering people? I was talking to Robbie Gill today.
$15.
Rob Gill. No, 50.
Oh, 50.
They're offering
$50.
businesses $50 vouchers today. $50. Internet and fucking cell. Like no one's Rogers. My phone is fucking dead. Where is it? It's right here. I got a Rogers phone. It's dead. I haven't received one phone call today. I got a FaceTime notification though. I wonder who called me.
You FaceTime me, but it was because it was on the internet.
It was the wolf, my buddy the wolf.
Oh, yeah, no, you're right, and it's because there's no accountability to anybody, and they're going to give you $50. I work for a Fortune 500 company in this country. Our entire operation from coast to coast was fucking crippled today.
Stormy.
I wonder what we use the $50 for. Maybe we'll have like a pizza party or something.
Hey, dude, yeah, I'm in the middle of a show. I'll call you right back.
Thanks for calling.
I'll call you right back. I love you. I'll tell you in a minute. All right, that's my buddy Hank, greatest guy in the world. You just called me. So, anyway, our FaceTime still works.
Yeah. You accidentally FaceTime me today. Actually, I noticed it. Yeah, it did, and I just didn't notice it. So,
why didn't you pick it up? I was trying to FaceTime you, see if you're going to be. I had to tweet you publicly today, to see if you're going to be on the show. Hey, Ryan, are you on the show? Can someone get a hold of him?
My wife got a hold of me for you.
Yeah, she did. She's the best. Yeah. So anyway, I have no idea. And this is the day after too. Great point. Day after Boris Johnson gets the kibosh, right?
Yep. Pierre
Maybe
Poliver.
Pierre Polyev.
The leaker, the whistleblower was exposed, and the CPC is caught with their pants down a bit.
Yeah.
And isn't it fucking weird?
Yeah.
Lots of big
Bizarre,
big weird
isn't it?
political things. Yeah. Oh, Abe was assassinated
Shot
in
today.
Japan. Yeah.
See the video of that?
That was crazy.
Shinzo Abe, the former Japanese prime minister, was shot with a double-barrel shotgun twice today. By a dude who actually had to make that shotgun. Former Japanese Russian Navy guy, and the video is fucking insane. I can't even play it.
The Yu-Gi-Oh card guy got shot and killed. The guy that invented Yu-Gi-Oh cards, I guess.
Recently?
I don't even know I don't know what that
Recently?
is. Yeah, just the other day. Yeah, he was shot at like some
They
convention.
shot the Yu-Gi-Oh guy?
Yeah. That guy's shot. They're shooting
In the
everybody.
States? Everybody gets shot in the States.
Yeah, I'm not sure where he got shot, but it was
It's all happening.
that's what I mean, man. Like we're in a fucking weird place, man.
I love it. Dude, I've
and
never had
James
more shit
Caan
to talk
died.
about.
Like, go ahead. Ruin my entire fucking existence. I love
Dude,
James Caan.
can I tell you something too? James Caan, Godfather, everybody knows him for The Godfather.
Yeah.
Misery, one of his great roles. Nobody was going to remember him from those TV what's the guy's name again? The cheetah guy. What's his name? Frank. What's his name? The guy, the drink box guy that was like making movies with all these movie stars and not paying him. What was his name again? I can't remember. Canadian dude. What was his name? For D'Angelo. Frank
D'Angelo.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, the
He
pasta
sued
guy.
me once. Yeah, he's the best.
Yeah, I remember.
Yeah. He sued me
guy
once.
with
Had a
his
construction
talk show.
guy sue me, and I'm like, you can't. This guy, you're not going to win. Anyway, so yeah, you did a bunch of movies with Frank D'Angelo. No one's ever heard of him.
Did he
Guys that
really?
did
I didn't
too.
know that.
Yeah. And he was great. Remember Brian's song? I cried my dick
God.
off in Brian's song when I was a kid.
Just
With
thinking
Billy
of it,
D.
actually.
Williams and James Caan. Yeah, dude, it was like that was the movie. I was like, oh, guys can cry.
We can have feelings too.
Bald.
Wow.
About Brian's song, which is a true story. But Gail says,
Yeah.
I don't know if you've seen the movie, but anyway, yeah,
Something.
lots is going on. Thanks for doing this, dude.
I'm glad to be here, and I'm glad we had Sam on. That was a really good talk. That was nice. And keep your eye out on DeanBlundell.com for Ashley's story. It's coming out. It's a doozy.
Yeah, I will. Tell her I said she's in the comment section, actually swearing her little sailor face off.
Yeah, she's mad.
Which she should be.
She should
People
be.
are questioning
She's
what she
rightfully
wants
mad.
to do with her body. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to it. Thanks for doing this, Ryan Lindley, the host of the Sheeple Shepherd podcast, is where you can
Have a
find
great
him
weekend.
at Ryan Lindley. Have a great weekend, brother. I'll talk to you soon.
See you soon.
I'll see you Sunday.
Yeah.
We're doing burgers, right?
Yes, sir.
You, me, and JB. What are you making?
Yeah. I'm bringing we're gonna do the smash burgers. My recipe that's on the website. I'm gonna bring the flat top. I'm gonna bring the grill and everything. It's gonna be great.
Oh my God, I can't wait.
Yeah.
You haven't, by the way, go to DeanBlundell.com. Just go to Ryan Lindley. He's one of the bloggers there. You can look at his stuff. He's been putting recipes up, including the burnt end pork bellies, which I've had and you've made, and holy fuck.
That's when I almost died.
You almost died that day at my house. Turns out you had a bunch of blood clots in your system, and I'm like, just have an orange, you'll be fine.
But I made great pork. What a guest, eh? What a guest.
Yeah,
Come
showed up
on.
with a pork stayed. Like, you're gonna be fine. You just have an orange, some water, and you're gonna be great. Soda water.
Here's some aha and a
Here's some
tangerine.
aha
Brian.
and a tangerine. You're gonna be fine. He's like, I feel better. Next day, I got 28 blood clots in my lungs. I got to go to the hospital. That's how I am, dude. Yeah, that's how I'm gonna die.
almost
One
dead.
day I'm
How's
gonna
the
get like
pork?
this diagnosis where someone's like, dude, you've been living with this for like 12 years, and I'm like, I didn't know. I just kept going.
Yep.
I just had a banana, and I thought I was fine. But yeah, go to Ryan's profile and check out some of the recipes he put up. Like the diner burger, quality diner burger will change your life. We're having the chuck roast diner burgers tomorrow.
That's what we're doing.
Fucking
Yeah. Yeah, it's gonna be good. I'm gonna grab some really good quality beef. We're gonna do some cool stinky cheeses for it, and yeah, it's gonna be really good.
Okay, you tell me what I need to get in on, and I'll do it.
We'll talk.
Okay, buddy. Great to see you.
Good to see you too. Have a good weekend, everybody.
You too, buddy. Take care. Ryan Lindley, Sheeple Shepherd Podcast. Subscribe to the podcast. Follow him on Twitter at Ryan Lindley. Thanks to Sam G for joining us as well. That was a rip. Educational, too. Educational. Here's the thing. You can be mad about all the stuff going on around you. It's not happening to you. It's happening to everybody. So it's just happening, right? Internet's down. It's just happening. But you get a choice to choose that attitude, and you get to choose how you are, and you get to choose who you support. Choose the good people. Don't choose the baddies, right? Choose the good people. Stand firm. Stand tall. Support women. Support marginalized people. Support the freedom of choice unless the choice is to not get vaccinated. Fuck you. Have a great day. Don't go to church. Thanks to our friends at Kivlaw, kivlaw.ca. Don't go to church. I don't know why I just said that. Probably because I fucking hate religion. Anyway, thanks to our friends over at Kivlaw, kivlaw.ca. Rob Kivlikin, he is a defense lawyer, and you need a defense lawyer from time to time. And if you need a legal professional to kind of guide you through some trouble that you're in, whether or not you're in trouble or not, whether or not you're facing some issue that you don't want to plead guilty with and you don't want to give your life away because you need some really good, quality, honest, professional legal advice, do not hesitate to go and talk to my friend Rob Kivlikin. Robert at kivlaw.ca. Go to kivlaw.ca today. Check him out. He's one of the best, and he's one of the guys that we bring on almost on a weekly basis to kind of shake down what it is that we need to be doing and paying attention to and the legal ramifications of different things, because he is one of the best, one of the most knowledgeable, and you will not find a more empathetic defense lawyer on the planet. He's a good human being, and he'll meet you where you are, so make sure you give him a call. Or send him an email, Robert at kivlaw.ca. Go to kivlaw.ca today for any information. Thanks to our friends over at Easy Auto Financial as well for helping our friends, you, get into cars. They've been able to get you a bunch of financing this last year. I had a chat with them the other day. Super, super grateful for the business that they get from us. So go and see them. They are excellent. And if you got a credit problem because the pandemic was tough, or maybe you just got a spending issue in your younger years and now you want to get a car, your credit, nobody, these guys are credit ninjas. They don't charge you for any of the work that they do for you too. So they'll get you your financing, don't charge you for the financing, help you get the car you want. And it is turnkey, no forms. Forms suck. I'd be the prime minister if I didn't have to fill out forms. Swear to God. They take care of all that stuff, and they help you get on the road with your vehicle at a price that you want to pay, and you do not pay for that financing. They're smart about it. So use them today, easyautofinancial.ca. And, of course, my friend Ed at Ed's Fine Imports, use his Gitch. We use it all the time. We wear them all the time. Luxury branded underwear, boxer briefs, pouch in the front. You can't miss. GITCH3 is your promo code. Use them today. Clothing for men and boys at Edge 2, massive online store. So go and check them out today as well. They don't have any head cheese in stock because they're not a deli. There's just a clothing store, clothing for men and boys. Gitch, Ed's luxury branded underwear. He's got tips you get on his mailing list, dressing tips. He's got promo codes that he sends people every day. So make sure you give him your email address. He doesn't spam you. But you can order clothes, men and boys. Guys, you need clothes. You need underwear. You need to dress your young lad. Make them look good. Hard to get kids' mailed clothes around. Fuck, there's one place you can get it all. The website's incredible. edsfineimports.com. Check them out today. Have a great day, everybody. And a great weekend. Sorry if you're a Rogers customer. I don't know what to tell you other than switch to Tech Savvy. They're good people. They care. They're transparent. They tried to prevent this for a few years, and no one listened. Government didn't listen. You didn't listen. Big telcos rammed this through. Now 13 million Canadians are fucked, and we lost billions of dollars today. Switch to Tech Savvy Solutions today. Call them. Trust me. You won't be unhappy about it. Find a different cell. I'm going to find a different cell provider today, too. It's a quick one. Anybody out there in cell phone land? I'm getting off of Rogers ASAP. Like, super fast. So if you know people in the cell phone industry, let us know. We'll do an enterprise deal across. Because if you're not Rogers, you're for us. Have a great day. See you tomorrow. Not tomorrow. Monday. Bye.